America is the most open, least racist nation on the planet.
Freedom!
Do you smell what Barack is cooking?
It's just a grotesque postmodern psyop, and anyone who's fallen for this is brain damaged.
Communism is based
And that's the bottom line because John McCain said so.
America is the most open, least racist nation on the planet. America is the most open, least racist nation on the planet.
Do you smell what Barack is cooking?
I say this with a unblemished record of heterosexuality. He looks good, and he looks hard.
And that's the bottom line because John McCain said so.
communism is based
America is the most open, least racist nation on the planet.
And that's the bottom line because John McCain said so. And that's the bottom line because John McCain said so.
We love you. You're very special.
Duh. What's up? Freedom! Matt with the gifter.
It's just a grotesque postmodern psyop, and anyone who's fallen for this is brain damaged.
Thanks, Girl Kisser. Thanks, Krevenax.
Communism is based.
Thanks, Almighty Loaf Live. Clever name JPEG. Omnis. TGC. Ill-fated channel. Icon has gaming. Flippers. Shit.
Do you
Home boss.
smell what Barack
Ill-fated
is
channel.
cooking?
The Matt Gifter. Like 5 times. BG64.
And that's the bottom line because John McCain said so.
Dead Yoshi. Super anti-kaiju. Listen to so much of their music because of Dylan's last stream. Wow. I've been saying this. I was ahead of the wave on this one. The Cowboys lost to the Cardinals? Trust me, brother, I know. So I'm going to California for like 10 days. Tomorrow morning is my flight. And I don't have any liquor on hand, which is a crying shame. I would have went and picked some up, but I forgot all about this until like 2 hours ago. So what I do have I have about this much of the bad stuff, which I don't think is even enough to get drunk on. or even like a buzz of any sort. And I have most of a bottle of vermouth, which is like 15% alcohol by volume. Ixodin. That would probably be one of the most foul things of all time. I'm probably just going to pull from the bottle of vermouth, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I had to do a, for an Alpharad video that I was trying to cut before I leave tomorrow. It's like nearly a fucking hour long. And I was like, oh yeah, if I just do that, like, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll have plenty of time. But I kind of forgot how long it took to, do all of the, like, finer, like the second pass through a video of this length. Don't delivery apps have booze now? You have no idea where I live, partner. Not where I'm at, they don't. Not whenever you live in the middle of a cornfield, they don't. I haven't had any vermouth in a minute. I bought this bottle, like... I don't know if how well you can see it's mostly full. I bought this bottle like 2 years ago or something. I was like, I'll have this in case I want to have a cocktail that calls for vermouth. And then the answer is that I'd never want a cocktail with vermouth in it. kind of like... It's kind of like wine. Oils and vermouth go rancid 2 to 3 months of opening? Really? I just took a drink of it. Tastes fine to me. There's oils in it? How are there oils in the alcohol? I thought alcohol was it keeps notoriously well. The plants they flavor it with. Huh. Yeah, I guess I can't really tell the difference. It was like I think it's been opened maybe 2 times prior, so like, you know, it's not getting opened and closed and opened and closed, so there's not like new oxygen. Re-entering or whatever paints it. You're gonna go watch what looks like a good game of football. I get probably the worst Texans game of last year. Not even the other team's passing the ball. Oh yeah, I'm going to Eagles versus Rams. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday in Los Angeles. I got the tickets and everything. Oh, also, I'm going to, I think it's this Sunday? I think this Sunday, I'm going to the Cutie Cinderella gala thing. Like, charity auction or something. I don't really know what the contents are. Some charity auction gala event, and I think a lot of streamers are gonna be there. Gotta go like buy fancy clothes. Sorry for the lack of content warning on the Ronald Reagan jump scare. Like some weird childhood beauty pageant thing. I think a charity auction and a beauty pageant are 2 wildly different things.
Do you smell what Barack is cooking?
Matt with a gifted to hallucinator. Thank you. I need to not get too drunk, because I do have a project that I have to finish. I think this is my only my second time streaming from here. Whenever I edit on the Mac,
Do you smell
I
what Barack
just
is cooking?
turn.
It's just a grotesque postmodern psyop, and anyone who's fallen for this is brain damaged.
90 degrees to my right. Give me shout out, thanks for the prime. Strunk Monk with the tier 1. Leaking the Alpharad video. Well, the fun part about that is that it's It's not like it's a leak because it's shit that he live streamed several months ago. Uh, 7 minutes. Oh, GOP. Next debate. Be the first to get exclusive presidential debate updates. Lick.
They were fine to say that we don't want to have any solutions to this crisis. We are fine with it happening so long as the crisis stayed in Texas and Arizona.
Exactly.
But the moment that they're actually responsible or they're being faced with the consequences of their own policies, they back away with them as fast as possible. I think it shows, whether it's the economy, the border, foreign policy, just how bad these policies are.
Oh, wait, Lo-Fi Girls on Rumble?
Yeah,
I saw that.
They're absolutely horrible, and it's very similar to
they're
what we
probably
saw,
not affiliated,
during COVID,
but
with a lot of the politicians, specifically Democratic politicians, continuing to push, mandates on people across the country. Small businesses shut down. In some places, over 50% of small businesses shut down. I know many people who owned family businesses for many years that have never been able to open their doors as a result. Sometimes people who lost loved ones that weren't able to see them in their dying days. But yet we had Democrat politicians out at Black Lives Matter events and at a Golden Casket event.
Black Lives
for George
Matter
Floyd.
bad.
It's just very devastating to see the hypocrisy. And I think that's very similar to the hypocrisy that we're now seeing when it comes to the border. Everybody wanted to let anybody and their brother over the border.
I love the broken record about talking how bad border is.
And now when the people are in their backyard, they don't.
I'm going to have the actual debate coverage too.
We can't forget.
I think so. I
what is
hope.
Into the country. And my home state of Ohio was completely devastated for many years by the drug crisis, opioid epidemic. We're seeing what fentanyl is doing all across the country right now, and they're continuing to just simply let it pour in. And we're losing a lot of lives as a result.
This shit's so quiet.
This should not be a partisan issue. This should be something that we all come together on, because this is.
I hope that
our entire
4 minutes
country
and 14
could be
seconds
killed by the
countdown
amount
to
of
the
fentanyl
debate
that has come across
number
the border.
means
so we
something.
need more focus on that as well.
I think the scale of this really is what's so unprecedented and so tragic, both from a humanitarian standpoint, national security standpoint.
It's a humanitarian
issue.
issue.
It really needs to be
How
addressed.
many illegal immigrants there
that's one of
are
the reasons why
pouring
this
into the
debate is so
United
important.
States? Billions
Can't
every
wait to hear
day.
what these Republican candidates have to say. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with us, breaking down the debate, breaking down how Biden's failing this country, and why we need new Republican leadership come 2024. We're only minutes away now from the second Republican presidential primary debate. Americans couldn't be more ready to make Joe Biden
Real
a
prep
one-term
school
president.
kid energy
To join
from
the
this
team
guy.
to make that happen, like we mentioned at the top,
He looks like
go to
he's on
bankyourvote.com.
the
Take
dean's
the
list
pledge
at the
to
University
bank
of
your vote
Iowa,
as early as possible.
and not by
Do
merit.
it today, because we can't afford to wait to mobilize the entire Republican Party to beat Joe Biden in 2024. We couldn't be more excited. So without further ado, get that popcorn ready. It's almost time for the Republican debate.
Or the highlights from last time. You guys remember? Yeah, this. I don't want to listen to their terrible, not royalty-free club music. We have drinking game rules. Does the pinned comment feature work on your end? Yeah, the current frontrunner for the GOP is Donald Trump, who will not be here today. So this is all just kind of for fun. Zero to death perk. Oh yeah, right. This the very real story about a real person who took one Percocet and instantly died. Vivek in second. I don't know what the polls are, but I think it goes Trump, huge gap. Florida man, Ron DeSantis. Number 2, huge gap. Everyone else. The guy from Morrowind. The Pocket Constitution. Yeah, I was gonna say from last time it was Chris Christie and Vivek Ramaswamy beef. Are they actually just arguing at one another?
Do you smell what Barack is cooking?
Oh, Matt. Thanks for the gifty. Trump's haven't changed funny enough? Well, yeah, he's the guy. Among Us! You guys have never had Malort? You're not living. Was that Ronald Reagan holding a football I saw out of the corner of my eye? I was looking over trying to put my bottle down.
And sought peace through strength.
Peace through strength.
Tear down this wall.
Play the hits.
40
Ooh,
years
let's drink some
after
Malort,
Reagan's
fellas.
landslide re-election, the Republican Party faces critical questions. What does it mean to be a conservative?
We fight for the truth.
We are not going to worry about what the left and the media say about us.
What is the key to a thriving economy?
It's innovation, not regulation.
America could do for anyone what she's done for me.
We will stop the scamming. We will stop the borrowing. We will stop the earmarks.
What is America's role in the world?
God,
we need to build a military fitted to the widening challenges in an ever more dangerous world.
Sometimes you avoid war
Mike Pence.
by showing you're tough.
And the country faces even more challenges. Would Reagan even recognize the country in which we now live? Tonight, candidates seeking the Republican nomination converge in California.
Would Reagan even believe that January 6th the invasion of the Capitol was possible? What would he say about the iPhone?
Welcome to the second Republican debate of the
Cool.
California.
All right, man.
We're inside the spectacular Air Force
Rumble.
Pavilion, where the stage is set for a showdown.
This is the Republican alternative to Twitch.
I'm Stuart Varney of Fox Business, and I am thrilled to be sitting alongside my co-moderators, Fox News Channel Dana Perino
Stuart
and
Varney.
Univision.
Good evening. Thank you, Stuart. President Reagan famously described America
Yeah,
as
you gotta
a
practice that
shining
line in the
city
mirror,
on a
man.
hill. And tonight, 7 candidates will make the case they should be the one to lead that city into a brighter tomorrow. But first, they have to convince you, the voter. Please allow me to welcome our Spanish-speaking audience. Muy buenas noches a todos. Desde la Biblioteca Presidencial Ronald Reagan, los precandidatos
¿Dónde está?
republicanos también buscan su voto para las primarias del partido. Bienvenidos.
Let's see here.
And good evening.
Yeah.
So
Get a-
let's meet the candidates who have qualified and chosen to be on this stage tonight. They are positioned
chosen.
by the order they rank in the polls, with the highest polling candidate in the middle. Standing center stage, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Florida man. Florida man. God, actual human Ken doll, Vivek Ramaswamy.
And former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley.
Oh, man.
It's South Carolina, Senator Tim Scott.
I'm surprised Tim Scott is still here. I hope Chris Christie survives the culling.
President Mike Pence.
I hope I want him to be at all of the debates.
Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
He's cut. He's getting voted off.
We have questions on a wide variety of issues important to primary voters. Candidates get 1 minute to answer and 30 seconds to respond if singled out. When their time runs out, we'll all
I don't really care
this.
either way, but I do think it's funny.
We have a lot of ground
that
to cover.
we have British
so please
man as
keep
the
it civilized.
Lead moderator
Let's get
here.
going. We are in this spacious, sunny place tonight.
Are you red or blue?
Designed to reflect the very nature and character of Ronald Reagan.
I'm from
It's
Oklahoma.
a place that makes you proud to be an American. Yet today our nation is drowning in division and incivility.
Voters
Doesn't
say
matter.
they dread the 2024 election and find
I'm just watching the
exhausting.
debate, man.
2 in 3 Americans think the country is on the wrong track, and 3 in 4 say the economy is not in good shape.
Prices are up 18% since 2020.
3 out of 4
More than half
people in
US
the Fox
population has
Business
little
office.
access to childcare. 85% of Americans say their personal finances are a source of stress.
Americans want to believe a
We should
leader who
put
says,
money in
"You can
average
follow me.
Americans'
I've got you. Don't worry."
average Americans' pockets
President Biden is
by
trying to do that with
funneling more
Bidenomics.
money towards the top
Yesterday,
of the
he
pyramid
joined
and
the picket
letting
lines
it
where auto workers are
flow
demanding
downwards.
more wages and job security.
We can
So
let
to
gravity
start,
the
you
gravity
recently
of
reacted
the CEOs
by praising Ronald Reagan for firing air
on the
traffic
business.
controllers in the 1980s, saying, "You strike, you're fired." Would you fire thousands of striking auto workers today, Senator?
Obviously, the President of the United States cannot fire anybody in the private sector. However, we should look back at the first bill in Congress under Joe Biden. The first bill had $86 billion for the union pensions because they continue to overpromise yet underdeliver. One of the challenges that we have in the current negotiations
Are we gonna have a classic
is
conservative
that
makes Joe
they
Biden
want
sound way cooler than he
4-day
actually is?
French work weeks, but more money. They want more benefits, working fewer hours. That is simply not going to stand. I sat in a finance committee hearing when a widow came before the committee who was promised pensions from the unions, $4,000 a month. Unfortunately, it had been cut to $1,000 a month. We must make sure that we honor the commitments that we make, and one of the ways that we do that, do not overpromise and then underdeliver and leave the taxpayers on
When
the
has a
hook.
president
I'll
ever
say
done
this,
that?
Joe Biden should not be on the picket line. He should be on the southern border working to close our southern border. Because
This
it
time
is
for sure, guys. I know we were really hammering this in 2016 and 2008 and 2000 and 1992 and
Americans in the last 12 months.
but this time
because
for
of
sure.
fentanyl. It
We're
is
gonna do it this
devastating.
time.
Every county in America is now a border county because fentanyl
They make
has
that a drink?
devastated
It pretty much already
Americans
is.
in every single state. I
The
will also
drink
say
for racism.
6 million illegal crossings since Joe Biden has taken office. And he eliminated Title 42. The one thing he should do is finish the wall, reinstate Title 42, and get
It's so
job
close.
done.
Yeah, the wall we built like 95% of it, but they all get through that last
On the
5%.
border and immigration. But in the meantime, we do want to talk about the economy and jobs, and especially want to talk about this strike for just a moment more. Mr. Ramaswamy, you've said you really empathize with the strikers. You're standing next to Senator Scott. And do you agree with what he said, or do you think he's wrong?
I agree with some of what he said, for sure. I like the spirit of it. I'll say that I don't have a lot of patience for the union bosses. I think that's where he and I actually have a common view. I do have a lot of sympathy for the workers, however. People are going through real hardship in this country.
Yeah, they should get
I've been
paid
through
more.
hardship growing up. My father stared down layoffs.
If only there was a way that they
under
could
Jack
collectively
Welch's tenure at the GE plant in Evendale,
come to some
Ohio.
sort of agreement.
My mom had to work overtime
to
in
get paid
nursing
more.
homes in Southwest Ohio to make ends meet and pay off our home
some sort
loan.
of
So I understand that hardship is not a choice.
agreement, some sort of
But victimhood
deal,
is a
come to a
choice.
deal with their employers.
And we choose to be victorious in the United States of America.
back and forth
you know,
kind
if
of
I was giving advice to
process.
those workers, I would say go picket in front of the White House in Washington, D.C. That's really where the protest needs to be. Disastrous economic policies that have driven up prices, that have driven up interest rates and mortgage rates. At the same time, wages remaining stagnant. What we need is to deliver economic growth in this country. Unlock American energy. Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear energy. Put people back to
Do
work
it all. Fuck it.
by no
Light the
longer
country on
paying them
fire.
More money to stay at
What's
home.
even in Montana? Let's
Stabilize
just
the US dollar
chop down every
itself
tree.
and rescind a majority of those unconstitutional federal regulations that are hampering our economy. That is how we unleash American exceptionalism. And that's not a Democratic vision or a Republican vision. That is an American vision that we embrace economic growth, and capitalism is still the best system known to man to lift us up from poverty, and we should not apologize for it. That's what it means to be an American.
We actually, it's already perfect as it is, and I think we should make no changes. It's so awesome, and we got it completely correct.
The CEOs of General Motors, Ford,
No
and
notes.
Stellantis make 336 times the number of rank and file workers. That's just part of a wider income inequality trend in the country. The richest 1% now controls 1/5 of all income. Vice President Pence.
Rebel.
Last week you
Rumble.com.
said you side with American workers, but you also support how these companies operate. Which is it?
Pick a side.
Well, thank you for the question. I want to thank Univision and Fox Business for assembling such a wonderful forum.
But you guys are awesome.
Look, I do disagree with
Please.
something Tim Scott just said. Joe Biden doesn't belong on a picket line. He
I'm sad that
belongs
Ted
on the
Cruz didn't
unemployment
run.
line.
'Cause I would love for him to be here plugging his
I'm from the second leading
podcast.
manufacturing state in the country per capita. I
Pence
was
is
governor of the state
Republican,
of
question
Indiana.
mark?
We brought
serious?
12,000 factories back to America during our administration. I know something about manufacturing. And I got to tell you, while the union bosses are talking about class warfare and talking about disparity in wages, I have to tell you, I really believe what's driving that is Bidenomics has failed. Wages are not keeping up with inflation. Auto workers and all
And that
American
started with
workers
Joe
are
Biden.
feeling it, and families are struggling in this economy. And Joe Biden's Green New Deal agenda is good for
The wages
Beijing
under
and
Joe
bad
Biden have not
for
been keeping up
Detroit.
with inflation
We ought to repeal
as
the Green
opposed
New Deal, get
to
rid
the
of
past
the
20
mandates and
years.
subsidies that are driving American gasoline
Wasn't he
automotive
Obama's
manufacturing
vice?
into
No,
the graveyard.
that's
And
Joe
beyond
Biden.
that also,
Joe Biden was
as
Obama's
President of the
vice.
United States, I'll be standing with workers all across
This guy
America,
talking
and
was
I'll be
Donald
standing
Trump's
for the
vice.
right to work of every American to join a union or not join a union as they decide.
Senator Scott, you were mentioned. Will you
Nah,
care
fuck
to
this
respond?
guy.
There's no doubt that Joe Biden
Get him
needs
outta
to be
here.
fired. That's why I'm running for president. I look forward to being the next president of the United States. I will also say, I know America can do for anyone what she's done for me. It's why we're focusing on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting
Meatball Ron
the
hasn't even got a turn to
America
speak.
we all love. Growing up in
Let
a
my man
single-parent
cook.
household, I wondered if the American dream would work for a kid in the inner city. I've got good news for every
Basically, none of these guys
single
have a
child,
chance.
whether
Yeah,
you're in the
that's
inner cities
correct.
of Chicago or the rural
We're watching
parts
this for
of
entertainment
Iowa.
value
America
alone.
And the dream, it is alive, it is well, and it is
In my
healthy.
opinion, I don't even think Trump has
these
a chance.
United States of America.
I think this is going to be a Joe Biden slam dunk re-election.
I think we need to look at exactly what happened. Biden showed up on that picket line, but why are those workers actually there? It's because of all of the spending that he has pushed through in the economy that's raised the inflation. So when you look at the fact that we are paying higher gas prices, higher grocery prices, $7,000 more a year for families, what we need to do is I came out with an economic plan. eliminate the gas and diesel tax so that they have more money in their pocket. Let's focus on going after middle America and cutting taxes for middle America and collapsing those brackets. Let's get rid of unfair distortions like
He's sounding
the state
kind of
and local
Democrat
tax
right now.
that they
He did this
give
the last
to
time
wealthy
too.
people in blue states and paid by red states. And
This
let's
is a
make sure we make the
this is a
small business
rephrasing of
taxes
what Biden
permanent.
ran on in
They
20.
only made those temporary. They
Or,
made the corporate taxes
yeah, in
permanent.
20.
Let's focus on what it takes to get more cash in the pockets of workers. That's when we'll be able to deal with strikes like this, not sitting on a picket line like Joe Biden is.
Thank you, Governor Haley. We have other questions to get to about economy. Allow me to.
I just have to. I'm sorry.
Allow me
The
to.
rephrasing is lowering taxes
We're
for
missing the point, and
for
every other
middle
network
class.
is missing the point. The reason why
Whereas
people are
Joe Biden
striking
said
in
we need to
Detroit
raise
is
taxes
because
on the
Joe
rich,
Biden's
which is the same
interference
thing.
with capital markets and with free markets. The subsidies, we're subsidizing the automakers and we're subsidizing the cars.
Wait,
and a
this guy is
particular
here?
kind of
Yeah.
car, not
Bet you
every
didn't
car,
expect Doug
but
Burgum
particularly
to
we're
come back.
subsidizing electric vehicles. And when you decide
Asa
that we're gonna take
Hutchinson did
all
not
of
make
your
the cut. We
taxpayer
will not
money,
be seeing his
take $1
beautiful
billion,
face again.
subsidize a certain type of vehicle, and the batteries come from China. China controls 85%
China.
of the rare earth
Make for
minerals.
China.
They're called
Woo.
rare earth because they're measured in parts per million. China is moving 100,000 pounds of earth in Indonesia, in Africa. They're literally destroying the planet so that they can make a battery that's in a car subsidized here.
China's destroying
That's
the
why
planet.
they're striking because they need
Themselves
less
alone.
workers
Nobody
to build
else.
an electric car. Joe Biden, this strike is at Joe Biden's feet.
No, nobody else is to blame here.
The topic of economy, but allow me to follow question to Governor Christie. The government will shut down if Congress does not reach a deal by the end of this week. Vice President Pence warns that politics of, quote, Trump's populist proteges, like Mr. Ramaswamy, are a road to ruin for the GOP. If the government shuts down, should voters blame populist Republicans?
Voters should blame everybody who's in Washington, D.C. They get sent down there
Chris,
to do the
Chris,
job, and
Chris,
they've been
Chris,
failing at
Chris.
doing the job for a very long time. And let's be honest about this with the voters. You know, during the Trump administration,
Didn't
they had
Chris Christie
$7
run
trillion.
in 16?
$7 trillion in
And
national
get
debt.
destroyed.
And now the Biden
Am I remembering right?
administration has
Anybody
put another
remember?
$5 trillion on and counting. They have failed, and they're in the spot they're in now because none of them are willing to tell the truth. None of them are willing to take on the difficult issues. They just want to keep kicking the can down the road. And the inflation that Nikki spoke about is absolutely right, and it's caused by government spending. And that's why people all across this country are suffering tonight. And yet we don't get any answers because Joe Biden hides in his basement and won't answer as to why he's raising the debt the way he's done. And Donald Trump hides behind the walls of his golf clubs and won't show up here to answer questions like all the rest
Trump
of us
runs
are up here
MTG
to
Vice, there's no
answer.
chance.
He put $7 trillion on the debt.
Zero
He should be
chance
in
at all.
this room to answer those questions.
The vice
to
president
people you
that
talk
on the
about
Trump
who are
ticket
suffering.
is probably
And if the
standing on this stage right
government-
now.
and if the government closes,
It would be Nikki
it's the
Haley
blame-
before it would be
is to the blame of everyone
before it would
in
be
Washington D.C. who has
MTG.
failed to do their job and just plays to the grandstand.
The next question is for Governor DeSantis.
That's a drink for an audible, I think.
Here's how we get it done in Washington. We must
Ladies, please.
We can get it done.
Governor DeSantis, you haven't spoken, please.
The people in Washington are shutting
Rhonda
down
is
the
here, by the
American
way.
dream with their reckless behavior. They borrowed, they printed, they spent, and now you're paying more for everything. They are the reason for that. They have shut down our national sovereignty by allowing our border to be wide open. So please spare me.
Just now. This is a
crocodile
new
tears
thing.
for these people. They need to change what's going on. And where's Joe Biden? He's completely missing in action from leadership. And you know who else is missing?
We don't
in
know where
action?
Joe's at.
Donald
Has-
Trump
has
is
anyone
missing in
seen
action.
Joe
He
recently?
should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have now. I can tell you this, as governor of Florida, we cut taxes, we ran surpluses, we've paid down over 25% of our state debt, and I vetoed wasteful spending when it came
How do you
to my
pay
desk.
down
And
the
as your
state debt
president, when
and
they
cut
send
taxes?
me a bloating spending bill that's going to cause your prices to
Where
go
does the
up,
money come
I'm
from?
going to take out this veto pen and I'm going to send it right back to them.
Ilya, you mentioned me in the question.
I don't count that as a prop. The more literal among us can call that a prop. I'm not calling it a prop.
Childcare costs, they are up They're topping $10,000 per month. Some families are spending up to half of their income on childcare, and they're having to decide: is it worth it for me to work?
Did she just say it costs $10,000 a month for childcare?
In 3 days, the billions of dollars in pandemic-era funding is going to end.
I don't have any kids, but I don't think that's right.
70,000 daycares could close. So you had an effort to broaden eligibility for child care assistance. That fell apart last year. And for the moms and
kids
dads
are pretty
out there
expensive,
who are
huh?
worried, what can you tell them if you weren't able to get it through the Congress? How could you do it as president?
Certainly one of the things I did as a member of Congress was to make sure that we protected the Head Start programs around the country.
Rumble.
Giving people the opportunity.
Could I touch it? Yeah, I guess I'll
pick and choose.
Okay, no, hold on. Oh. Rumble.com?
Place that they send their children.
Okay.
The challenges that we see today.
Could you turn off the music? Sure. I'm gonna touch it.
Under the Biden administration.
One of these. Okay.
Party. The real divide is
Okay,
not between
we've
the
gone forward
Republicans
in
on
time.
this stage. And in the Reagan
Sorry.
Library, I want to say these are good people on this stage. The real divide is between the majority of us in this country who love the United States of America and share our founding ideals.
Dude.
Free
Shit
speech,
website.
meritocracy. The idea you
Oh, meritocracy. He said it. And like drop the quality on this fucking website or
get ahead in this country, not in the color of your skin, but on the content of your character. And the fringe minority in the Democrat Party that has a chokehold over that party. That's the real divide. So this populist versus classical debate.
You do have Martin Luther King Jr. as a finished drink, and that is a MLK quote. But did he say the word?
I think we're going to go on. You have to. We have. So, on Rumble. All these questions, we're going to get to you. We're going to come back to you. There's a lot of time.
We're about child care. Nobody answered the question. In North
It's just a grotesque postmodern psyop, and anyone who's fallen for this is brain damaged.
All right, on the call. Thanks to Tier 1.
Dakota, we knew that the cliff was coming. We knew that there was going to be millions of people without it, and so guess what? We planned.
Okay.
And when we passed legislation because child care.
We will get you some questions.
Doug, shut the hell up.
Move on. We are going to the border.
Doug, oh yeah, let's go to the border.
Force infrastructure.
I haven't been given a chance to respond. In 1984, President Ronald Reagan said the following.
The idea of amnesty for those who have put down roots and who have lived here, even though some time back they may have entered illegally.
2 years later, President Reagan granted amnesty to nearly 3 million immigrants, something no Democrat or Republican president has done since. Governor Christie, as governor of a non-border state in 2010, you supported a path to citizenship. But when you ran for president in 2016, you flipped, saying immigrants should be tracked like FedEx packages. Where do you stand now on a path to citizenship for 11 million of undocumented immigrants?
Well, the problem is that since no one has done anything since we first had this discussion,
Getting the Hispanic lady to read that, I think, is pretty rich.
We're not in a position to be able to do any of that anymore. What we have to do now is first treat this like the law enforcement problem it is. Our laws are being broken every day at the southern border, every day. And Joe Biden and his crew is doing nothing about enforcing that law. They are letting it go. And by the way, they announced during the presidential race they were going to let it go. And we need to have a president who acts like I did as governor, enforce the law first and foremost. And that means what I'll do on day one is sign an executive order to send the National Guard to partner with Customs and Border Patrol to make sure that we stop the flow of fentanyl over the border, but also to make sure that we send a much different message. We want you here in this country to fill the 6 million vacant jobs we have, but only if you come here to follow the law and only if you come here legally. If you come here illegally, we will apprehend you and we will send you back.
Get him out of here.
Across the border from
He said
which
he
you
said he
came.
wants Mexicans
And
in the
fact
country.
is
Get
that
him out of
until
here.
we set a law and order agenda in this country, not only now but in the future, we won't be able to continue this. And I'll tell you this. Donald Trump failed on this as well. He said he was going to build a wall across the whole border. He built 52 miles of wall and said Mexico would pay for it. Guess what? I think if Mexico knew that he was only going to build 52 miles, they might have paid for the 52 miles.
Got him.
Thank you, Governor. All right, Governor Haley.
Wow.
Most
Owning
illegal
Trump,
immigrants are
dude.
coming
He's
from
a
countries south of the border.
Chris Christie is he's a Joe Biden
steady stream of
double
people
agent.
coming into the country on a daily basis. In fact, I believe we have a live picture of it tonight. That is happening right now, live. In the last decade, the US has spent
picture.
nearly $55 billion
Here it
to
is.
address
Here's
the
a
root
line of
causes
people who
migration.
are
But crime,
gonna
poverty, and
they're
corruption,
coming
they
here to take
persist, and the
your
number of
job.
migrants is only growing.
Your job at the Target?
Our money.
That's right. One of
Well,
these
what
guys
happens
are going to
is
come
when
and do
Joe
it for
Biden
less.
waved the green
You work
flag,
minimum wage?
It told everybody
Too
to
bad.
come, and now we've seen 6 million
Welcome to
people
minimum
cross the border. We've had more
wage.
fentanyl that have killed Americans in the Iraq, Vietnam, or Afghanistan wars combined. We need to make sure that we are a country of laws. The second we stop being a country of laws, we give up everything this country was founded
We're a
on.
country of
So
laws.
we have to secure the border. The way we do that is, first of all, defund sanctuary cities. You see what's happening in Philadelphia right now. It's got to stop.
Go
We need to make
Birds.
sure we put 25,000 more Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let
You guys
them
see what's
do
happening
their
in
job.
Philadelphia
I
right
spent
now? We're
400
fucking
miles
3-0,
down
baby.
that border, and I'm telling you, Border Patrol agents aren't allowed to do their job. Let's go back to remain in Mexico policy. Instead of catch and release, let's go to catch and deport.
What about
and
the
let's
aid that what about the aid that federal taxpayers are paying to deal with the root causes? It's not working?
The
Or is
only
it?
aid that we should be spending right now is to secure the border, the southern border, the northern border, period.
You would cut
we
off
need
aid
to
to the
keep
region?
Americans safe.
The northern
And right
border,
now,
there are too many
Americans are not
Canadians,
safe.
goddammit.
Only when we fix the immigration system, only when we get the border secure, should we
Bold
ever
take.
look at putting any more money into this. Our
We need to figure out what the hell's going on. Ahem. Hmm. Do I touch it? I gotta smack the TV?
Like Reagan.
Oh, okay. Hey, Ron.
To deter their
Too many people.
ambitions. We're going to have economic independence from China, where we're
China.
decoupling our economy, and we are going to go after the cultural power they have in this country. As governor of Florida, I banned the CCP from buying land in our state. We should do that all across these United
Too-
States. We shouldn't have
too
them
many
in our
Chinese
universities. We shouldn't have
purchasing
Confucius
land in
institutes.
Florida.
So you see a country in decline, our power's in decline. China's going to surpass us this decade, and if they do that, that's
the
going to affect
bottom
every
line
single American household.
John
As your
McCain
president,
said
I am
so.
not going to let that happen. I'm going to reverse this country's decline. We are going to choose strength, not surrender, when it comes to the CCP.
So we should are we gonna invade them, or what does that mean?
Biden, we are a country in retreat.
Propose, quote, universal deportation for all undocumented
I think
immigrants
stuff will
and
cost
their
a lot more
children,
if we
even
do
if the
some kind
children
of trade
are
war with
citizens
China.
of the United States. Under what legal premise would you
On account of their
expel US
extremely cheap
citizens?
labor that we
So the first
take
thing I want to
advantage
say
of
is I
every single
agree
day.
with everything. The Republicans on the stage are on the right side of this issue. Militarize the southern border, stop funding sanctuary cities, and end foreign aid to Mexico and Central America to end the incentives to come across. But I do go a step further. You're right about that, Ilya. I favor ending birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal immigrants in this country.
I
Now,
think
the
we
left will
should.
howl
I think
about
we
the
should kill them.
Constitution and the
I think we
14th
should take the
Amendment.
babies and
The
throw
difference
them
between me
out
and
of the
them is I've
hospital
actually read
window.
The 14th Amendment.
Honestly.
What it says is that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the laws and jurisdiction thereof are citizens. So nobody believes that the kid of a Mexican diplomat in this country enjoys birthright citizenship. Not a judge or legal scholar in this country will disagree with me on that. Well, if the kid of a Mexican diplomat doesn't enjoy birthright citizenship, then neither does the kid of an illegal migrant who broke the law to come here. And as the father of two sons, it is hard for me to look them in the eye and say, you have to follow the law when our own government fails to follow its own laws. That's how we really go the distance and solve this problem and restore the rule of law in the United States of America, because that is part of what it even means to be an American.
Senator Scott, you oppose ending birthright citizenship. What does Mr. Ramaswamy have wrong on that issue?
Yeah, there's no doubt the fact that when you think of the Constitution and the 14th Amendment, it was certainly written as it relates to slavery, not as it relates to illegal immigration. It's been applied to illegal immigration. So the challenge that we face is, in fact, one that has to do with whether or not the people that come here are under the jurisdiction of our laws. And frankly, if you come here illegally, you are not. Now, surviving a
I think that means
Supreme Court argument is something I can't tell you. But from a perspective
if you're not
of
here,
the Constitution,
if you overstay your visa, you don't have rights.
Clearly, it was designed.
I think it should be Guantanamo with them, honestly,
and not for illegal immigration. I'll go one step further, though. When we have a conversation about the things that are happening on this stage, we think about the fact that Vivek just said we were all good people, and I appreciate that, because last debate he said we were all bought and paid for. And I thought about that for a little while and said, you know, I can't imagine how you can say that knowing that you were just in business with the Chinese Communist Party and the same people that funded Hunter Biden millions of dollars was a partner.
Hunter Biden.
It's not nonsense.
So look, here's what I want to respond. These are good people who are tainted by a broken system, and it's not the fault of anybody who's involved.
Some of us are tainted.
Excuse me. Thank you for speaking while I'm interrupting. While I'm speaking.
No, you said bought and paid for. You can't be on both sides.
Gentlemen, you'll have your turn.
One of the challenges we should have.
Can we please focus on the issues that matter? We know we did business in China. Everybody knows that.
Mods?
Holding Joe Biden accountable. That's what we need to be focusing on.
I actually agree with Ron DeSantis.
Mods?
At the same time, no one can understand
Exactly.
your message.
So if I may, I agree with Ron DeSantis on China. When every other CEO expanded into the Chinese market, you know what I did with my first company? We opened a subsidiary in China. But you know what I did that was different than every other company? We got the hell out of there. And when I started my next company, Strive, right when it that was years ago.
Did you just say I went there, but then I left, so that makes it good?
Excuse me. To compete against BlackRock, I made a commitment that we would never do business in China. And I will say something.
I think you have more than time to explain your
These mods are awful. This is hilarious.
And I want to be respectful because I believe these are good people, but I do not believe in these. We're sitting here in the Reagan Library.
Yes, I wish you
in
did
the
not think it
honor
was
of
midnight
Ronald
in
Reagan's
America.
library, if I may, from one admirer of Ronald Reagan to another. From one
I hope they
admirer of
fight.
Reagan to another, we cannot
do deals with the
This isn't productive.
I want to hear about that.
Let's have a policy.
They're letting them go. Bring the bell.
Let's have
about their record.
Let's have a policy debate. And the right answer is we need to declare independence from China, and I will see that through.
Vice President Pence, in 2017, the Trump-Pence administration canceled DACA, which put the legal status of 600,000 Dreamers in the hands of the courts. Dreamers work and they pay taxes. As president, if the Supreme Court
so is this states'
ends
rights or
DACA,
not?
would you work with Congress to reach a permanent solution for Dreamers?
Well, first, let me say I'm glad Vivek pulled out of his business deal in 2018 in China. That must have been about the time you decided to start voting in presidential elections. So we're nice to have you participating in elections. So let me speak to this issue. Number one, I negotiated the Remain in Mexico policy with the Mexican government. We used economic power to bring the Mexican government to the table.
Economic
we built
power.
hundreds of miles of border wall. And despite what's said here today, we reduced illegal immigration and asylum abuse by 90%.
Dude, it's so funny.
And as President of the United States, I can do it again.
Pence
The truth is,
brags about something that he did under Donald Trump
as well. But first and foremost, a
from
nation without
16
borders
to
is
20,
not a nation.
and Trump is
We
running.
have to secure the southern border of the United States of America.
He has no
I know
angle.
how to do it, and we will do it again. Let me say one other thing.
He's
about
running
China.
against his dad.
Vice
Let me say
President,
one other thing about China.
On
would you negotiate with
the
Congress
achievements of his dad.
To give a solution to the problem that Dreamers have right now. They are on a limbo.
Well, let me tell you, I served in Congress for 12 years, although it seemed longer. But you know, something I've done different than everybody on
was that
this
supposed to
stage
get a laugh?
is I've actually secured reform in Congress. You know, Ron, you talk a really good game about cutting spending, but you've increased spending in Florida by 30%. When I was a member of Congress in 2006, right after Hurricane Katrina, Dana, you remember it, we stood our ground. I led House conservatives. We cut $100 billion out of the federal budget. It can be done, but as I said in the last
just
debate,
wave
I'll say
the
again,
wand,
this is no time for on-the-job
create
training.
money.
I'm going to be ready on day one to get Congress to step up, secure the southern border of the United States, build a military fitted to our times, and we're going to get spending in Washington, D.C. under control once and for all.
On the other side of this break, and I propose to go to a break. How will these candidates make America safer as rising crime plagues our cities?
Crime. There's just so much. It's a crime-filled place. It's nothing but crime. If you've been to these Democrat-run cities.
Do you trust our government and where the economy is heading? Does the thought of losing your hard-earned retirement savings to DC's reckless spending scare the heck out of you? Well, you're not alone. Smart Americans are taking action while they still can by reaching out to Birch Gold Group. For over 20 years, Birch Gold has helped concerned Americans protect their futures by moving part of an existing IRA or 401k into a physical gold IRA. Because when things are a mess, like right now,
bury it in the
Americans
backyard.
turn to gold.
Get gold.
With an A+ rating, with a Better Business Bureau, and thousands of happy customers, Birch Gold is the trusted leader in gold. They're busier than ever because people are taking control of their savings away from the government and into their own hands. Text the word NOW to the number 989898 to get a free info kit on gold. There's no pressure and no obligation, just information. So get your no-cost info kit now. Text NOW to 989898.
I'm gonna pause Mozart Symphony until the back end of these ads. I think in particular the fact that there's ads on the presidential debate broadcast is extra funny. We have to commercialize everything. We wouldn't be able to have free and fair elections if not for the Black Rifle Coffee Company
I pledge allegiance to the flag
buying this ad space and giving the government money. Well, actually, they're giving Fox Business money, and then Fox Business is giving the RNC money, and then presumably the RNC is funded by taxpayers? I don't know. At least in some capacity, obviously not entirely. Whenever I go into the active war zone and I have a very bright American flag rolled up on my back. RNC needs here are just funded by donors? Wow. Christ. What the? Jesus. And then it turns itself down. Thanks, Rumble. Who do you think is winning the debate? Take your answer. Yeah, don't do that.
We all like free stuff, especially free trips. Text tickets to 80810 to enter to win 2 free tickets to a future debate. Plus, we'll throw in free airfare and hotel. 2 debate tickets, airfare and hotel.
I get
all free.
flown
Text
out
80810 to enter to win today.
to a debate? Wow. Protect your retirement from DC's politics. Damn, your Social Security is getting burned up by Joe Biden by gold. Start it back up.
And welcome back to the Reagan Library for the second Republican presidential debate. I do want to just remind everyone, there's 1 minute for questions, 30 seconds for a follow-up.
We do this song and dance every time.
Questions you're going to get. Okay, so we want to talk about crime. This has been a horrendous problem in our country with the Fox News and others.
Crime's so bad right now.
Governor Christie.
It's the worst time in the history of crime.
Fear into the hearts of Americans. Just last night, looters took over the streets of Philadelphia. You said in the last debate that you would use U.S. attorneys to prosecute crimes.
They took over the streets.
Won't. But
Philadelphia is a lawless wasteland.
And they could not handle all of the lawlessness, the shoplifting, all the carjackings, the
Don't go to the Commanders game.
They're all surging. Progressive prosecutors were elected by their constituents, and they can't be fired by a president. So what would you do to end the revolving door of criminality?
Well, look, Dana, the only one on this stage.
What would you do to completely change the election system to make sure that these fucking Democrats don't get elected in Philadelphia?
And we set records for the number of prosecutions that we brought that still have not been broken. And the reason was that we went after the crime that was affecting people's lives. And as president, I will appoint an attorney general and instruct that attorney general that you are to put all the resources that are necessary to bring our cities back under control.
We need bigger jails with more people in them, I think.
There's no doubt about that, but that's what they take the job for, because they love the idea of enforcing the law. We've got to bring law and order back to this country, and not just in our cities. But we need the law and order back everywhere. We need law and order back in our suburbs. People are threatened there. We need it in our rural areas. People feel threatened there. And we need it in Washington, D.C. also. And Donald Trump should be here to answer for that, but he's not. And I want to look at that camera right now and tell you, Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight. Not because of polls,
Donald.
And not because of your indictments. You're not
How
here
are you
tonight
doing?
because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
All right. I want to ask Governor DeSantis, you fired a couple of prosecutors in your state, but as president,
that one didn't land.
To do that. How do you think about dealing with the root causes of crime, especially this revolving door of the criminals that just get out and come back and commit another crime?
Well, the crime in these cities is one of the strongest signs of the decaying of America. We can't be successful as a country if people aren't even safe to live in places like Los Angeles and San Francisco. Just being in Southern California over the last couple of days, my wife and I have met
Donald
three
Duck.
people who
Get
have
it?
been mugged on the
He's
street,
ducking
and that would have
the
never
debates.
happened 10 or 20 years ago. In Florida, we back the blue. We support the men and women of law enforcement. They are keeping us safe. We have a 50-year low in the crime rate. And yes, when I had two progressive prosecutors that weren't following the law in Florida,
You know what is?
I removed
You
them
know
from
how
their
you
posts,
get a
and the
really
people
low
of Florida
crime
are
rate?
safer as a result
If
of
you
it.
don't
As
prosecute
president,
any crime.
I will use the Justice Department.
If crime
to
is
bring
legal,
civil
then there is no
rights
crime.
cases against all of those
Have they considered
left-wing
this?
Soros-funded prosecutors. We're not going to let them get away with it anymore. We want to reverse this country's decline. We need to choose law and order over rioting and disorder.
Isn't crime down nationally?
Subject.
I don't.
Governor Haley.
I don't know what the statistics say, but also the statistics don't matter because
morale is at a record low.
It's very
3
easy
years
to
ago,
fudge
you
the
signed a pledge
statistics.
to support law enforcement. Now, pledges are a nice
If you just stop
idea,
prosecuting,
but what's your actual
then
plan
the crime rates
to
go
get
down.
more police on our streets?
Sorry, it's an election year. Don't lock this person up.
What we knew in South Carolina is you take care of those who take care of you. We have to start taking care of law enforcement, but it's not just taking care of them with words. It's making sure that
You guys been
also
cold
follow through
called
on what
by
they do. Right now, we have a lot of
somebody
stolen
asking for
guns
like,
on the
oh, would you
street.
like to
Well,
donate
these
to
law
so and
enforcement officers, they
so
arrest
police
these people,
department
and then they go and they're
retirement
let out the
fund
very
or
next
whatever?
day. So law
I get
enforcement
a
feels
couple
like
of
they don't-
those
No one has their back. We
every
have
so
to
often.
start prosecuting according to the law. We have to make sure we have the backs of law enforcement, and we have to make sure that we're a country of law and order. But I want to go back to China because I don't think we spent enough time on that. that.
The scam I
right
heard.
now, we have
That
to look
makes
at
sense.
what government's doing to hurt us against China, too. You have a company, U.S. Antibiotics, that produces
like a real guy. Yeah, it's like a real guy.
the number one antibiotic that
American
we
guy.
need. And right now, there is a company in Bristol, Tennessee,
And I always tell them
that
to go fuck
produces
themselves.
That, yet our federal government only gets it from China. We need to be focusing on companies that produce in America and supporting those companies that produce in America, not companies that are helping China.
Governor, we will be talking foreign policy later. Delia?
Thank you, Stuart. We're going to stay in the topic of crime because it affects all of us. Governor Burgum, for the first time ever,
Gergum?
a Univision poll found that mass
Mr.
shootings
Gergum?
and gun safety are one of the most important issues for Latino voters. Mental health concerns are not unique to the United States, but gun violence is.
True.
What is your specific plan to curb gun violence?
Well, first we need to know is understand.
Wow,
is I think that
actually
the liberal
asking a
left
hard question?
seems
Not
to
giving
be
him a
just
softball?
Completely bent on prosecuting
That's crazy.
law-abiding citizens that are gun owners, because every solution they have to this is
I say
take
this
away
with a
the Second Amendment
unblemished
rights of
record of
Americans, and somehow that's going to solve the problem. But all these
He looks
cities
good.
that we're
And
talking
he
about
looks
that you showed
hard.
the videos of tonight, they have some of the strictest gun laws in the country. So we know that that's not what's working. But what we have to do is get back to the core issues about the family. We have to get back to behavioral health and mental health. We've got to get back to actually enforcing the laws these people talked about. And like we've done
If we
in North
enforce the
Dakota,
laws, there
we've
wouldn't be as
got
many
the
school
goal,
shootings.
And we're on the track to being the most military-friendly state in the nation. We've got the most military and the most support of what we're doing in terms of law enforcement, because the morale is down because we've been defunding the police, because they've been attacked in the press. The police have
Yeah,
become
the school
bad
shootings are
guys
up
when
because
they're
the
one-
police
there's
funding's down.
All these jobs available in America. Why would you be
It's
a
cause and
policeman
effect.
if people don't even respect them? Every time I see a policeman, the first thing I say is thank you. And so does everybody else.
And then I start literally licking his boots on all fours.
In my family and most of the people in our state, because they know we have to respect the people that are out there defending us every single day.
Can I answer the question on mass shooting?
Mr. Ramaswamy, according to Customs and Border Protection, about 90% of fentanyl is seized.
Okay, on to the
at
next one, I
official
guess.
border crossings.
That's all the time we're going to give
And
to that.
57% of the smugglers are U.S. citizens. How would you stop fentanyl brought into the country, mostly by U.S. citizens, through ports of entry?
There's two sides to this, and we have to be very honest about
Wait,
it.
what?
One is we do have to seal
No, they're
that
just they're
southern
coming
border.
they're coming
Building
across
the wall
in
is
tunnels,
not enough.
right?
They're building cartel-financed tunnels underneath that wall. Semi-trucks can drive through them. We have to use our own military to seal the Swiss cheese of a southern border, but we also have to be honest. There's a demand-side problem in this country, too, a mental health epidemic. I met family in Iowa. Two parents, Kathy and Derek. They lost their son, Sebastian, 17 years old. He bought Percocet on Snapchat, and then he died. Why did he die? Because it was laced with fentanyl. That is closer to bioterrorism, not a drug
Died
overdose. That is poisoning.
instant
So it is our
death.
job to make
Percocet's
sure
back?
That never happens. But it's also our job to make sure that 17-year-olds don't turn to Percocet via Snapchat. We have to bring back mental health.
I don't know
in
what
this country.
Snapchat is,
Not with
but I don't
company
like it.
Pharmaceuticals, but with faith-based approaches that restore purpose and meaning in the next generation of Americans. Many of them are getting it through social media. And this isn't a Republican point or a Democrat point, but if you're 16 years old or under, you should not be using an addictive social media product, period. This is something
My
that we
bold
can
stance
both agree
is
on, and we
no
can
15-year-olds on
revive
Twitter.
both the mental health of this country while stopping the fentanyl
Take away
epidemic
their
that will kill more
phones.
people this
Damn
year
kids and their
than who
phones,
died
their
on
smartphones.
9/11. And I refuse to be a passive bystander sitting in the White House like the hollow
Kids
out
shouldn't
husk
be
of a
allowed on the
president we
internet.
have. We will step up and address this problem to stand for Americans and our children.
Quit encouraging TikTok. Quit encouraging TikTok.
That is why everything he said, I agree with.
I love how it's like Vivek Ramaswamy's policy decisions are like dart on a dartboard. Like old people thinks this is bad.
Communism is based.
Sentence.
Parents rented an Airbnb. And apparently the people that had
Formation.
rented before were using drugs. The infant was crawling, the toddler was crawling on the carpet and ingested fentanyl residue and died. Are we just going to sit here and let this happen, this carnage happen in our country?
I was at a bar once,
so I guarantee you
and
on day
the
one,
waitress
this
walked
border is gonna
by
be a day one issue for me as president.
with a non-alcoholic
We're gonna declare it a
beer.
national emergency. Yes, we'll build the wall. We'll do
I
remain
caught a
in
whiff
Mexico, but those Mexican drug
from the
cartels
table
are gonna
over,
be treated like the
instantly
foreign terrorists
plastered off my ass.
We're going to move on to a different issue. Hold on, sir.
I start crying profusely.
Just last month, Vice President Pence, you said if elected, you would repeal all Obamacare mandates. However, you also made that same promise in 2016. And at that time, Trump-Pence had congressional majorities for at least the first 2 years, and you did not deliver on that promise. So Obamacare, right now, it is more popular than ever. Why should Americans trust you, if you become president, to fix that, or is Obamacare here to stay?
Well, first, let me speak to the mass shootings issue, and then I'll answer that question. It's an important one, Dana. Look, I'm someone that believes that justice delayed is justice denied. And as a father of three, as the grandfather of three beautiful little girls, I am sick and tired of these mass shootings happening in the United States of America. And if I'm president of the United States,
do something about it.
I'm going to go to the Congress of the United States, and we're going to pass a federal expedited death penalty for anyone involved in a mass shooting so that they will meet their fate in months, not years. It is unconscionable that
they like die on site most of the time, right?
Ron is actually going to spend the rest of his life behind bars in Florida. That's
they either
not
kill themselves or are
justice.
killed by
We
police.
have to mete out justice and send a message to these would-be killers that you are not going to live out your days behind bars.
That'll fix the problem, buddy.
But does that mean Obamacare is here to stay?
I'm going to instate the death penalty for all suicide attempts in the United States of America.
I'd love to answer it. Look, I think it's one of the choices here. You know, my former running mate, Donald Trump, actually has a plan to start to consolidate more power in Washington, D.C., consolidate more power in the executive branch. If I'm president of the United States, it's my intention
I'm president,
to make
I will do
the
nothing.
federal government smaller by returning to the states those resources and programs that are rightfully theirs under the 10th Amendment of the Constitution. That means all Obamacare funding, all housing funding, all HHS funding, all of it goes back to the states. We'll shut down the Federal Department of Education. We'll allow states to innovate. We're going to revive federalism in America, and states are going to help bring America back.
Let's revive feudalism while we're at it, I think.
Keep within their time frame so that we can get as many
It sounds
questions in as
close.
possible. This question for Governor DeSantis. Over 26 million Americans don't have insurance coverage. Governor DeSantis, 2.5 million of them are in your state. That's worse than the national average. Can Americans trust you on this?
Well, I think this is a symptom of our
Are you going to make Obamacare illegal and instate DeSantis care instead?
Rates are going through the roof. People that are going to get groceries. I spoke with a woman in Iowa, and she said, you know, for the first time in my life, I'm having to take things out of my grocery cart when I get to the checkout line because the total goes up so quickly. So this is very real, and people are
Maybe
hurting
people
out there. So we've got
who don't
to
have
address
as
the
much money
underlying
should make
problem
more.
with Bidenomics, the overspending, taking all Biden's rules and regulations. I'm going to throw them in the trash can.
If the government didn't overspend, that means the average person would have more money.
Energy dominant in this country that will lower your gas prices. And what we need to do with health
because gas, most of your money is being spent on gasoline, right?
At the back of the bus. We have big
which the
pharma,
president
big
controls the price of.
Big government, and we need to tackle that and have more power for the people and the doctor-patient relationship.
Governor, why is your record in Florida on insurance worse than the national average?
Our state's a dynamic state. We've got a lot of folks that come. Of course, we've had a population
It's just a grotesque
boom. We
postmodern
also
psyop,
don't
and anyone
have
who's fallen for
a
this
lot
is
of
brain
welfare
damaged.
benefits in Florida. You know, we're basically saying we want to. This is a field of dreams. You can do well in the state, but we're not going to be like California and have
yourselves,
massive
damn
numbers
it.
of people on government programs without work
No
requirements.
handouts.
We believe you work and you got to do that, and so
Get
that
a
goes
job.
for all the welfare benefits. And you know what that's done, Stuart? Our unemployment rate is the lowest amongst any big state. We have the highest GDP growth amongst any big
And
state.
people are still
even
poor,
CNBC,
despite everybody working?
No
What's the
fan
deal?
of mine rank Florida the #1 economy in America.
Okay, buddy.
On the topic of healthcare, Governor
All I'm
Haley,
saying is that the Eagles
healthcare is
fucked
the
up
leading
Tampa
cause
Bay
of
last week.
bankruptcy
So,
for
what do you have to say about
American
that,
families, accounting for
Governor?
2/3 of all personal bankruptcies. As president, how you protect Americans who get sick from financial ruin?
First of all, how can we be the best country in the world and have the most expensive health care in the world? We have an issue. My mom was in the hospital.
It's leftist Nikki
and when
Haley
she was in the
opening her
hospital,
mouth
they tried
again.
to bring her a couple of Tylenol, and she said, "I don't need it." And they said, "Honey, go ahead and take it because you're paying for it anyway." Why is it that when we got the bill, the insurance company and the hospital negotiated the bill for her without her having anything to do with it? When I am president, we will break all of it, from the insurance company to the hospitals to the doctor's
chronic knee
offices to
pain,
the
chat.
PBMs to the pharmaceutical companies.
I'm
We
going
will
to
make
physical
it all
therapy about it on the
transparent,
11th.
because when you do that, you will realize that's what the problem is. Second thing is you've got to deal with tort law. The doctors don't give you the 10 tests because they want to. It's because of the 90% chance they'll get sued. And then we need to bring competition back to healthcare.
They get sued
rid
every
of certificate
time.
of need systems and make sure that they can compete. We have to put the patient in the driver's seat. They've been in
Why
the
did we go to this
backseat
shot?
for way too long. And once we give the
We're getting
patient
mugged
the ability to
by
decide their
Rhonda.
health care, deciding which plan they want, that is when we will see magic happen. But we're going to have to make every part of the industry open up and show us where their warts are, because they all have them, and we need to fix this on behalf of the American people.
And that's what we did.
So are you saying that we need to regulate? Is that what we're asking
We're not
for?
talking about the real problem.
We should
Talk about
regulate
why we
the
have
industry?
The most expensive healthcare in the world. It's because the federal government got involved the same way they did with EVs, and they said we're going to subsidize a particular kind of software back in 2008 under Obama, and they said, hey, we're going to do this. It's going to make everyone more productive. All of you that are watching have been to a doctor's office when the doctor's got his back to you and their hands on a keyboard. The only industry in the world that's ever absorbed $1 trillion of IT and became less productive, they saw less patients per day, is U.S. healthcare, because they were subsidizing a certain kind of technology. It wasn't about improving healthcare. It was about picking winners and losers.
Oh,
Every time the federal government's
it's the
involved,
computers
whether it's
and not the
higher education,
medicine.
Healthcare, or now the auto industry, things get more expensive and less competitive.
That was a great transition, because we are going to move
Oh,
on
he
to the
went,
future education
he's
in
like, I
America.
killed it, yes.
What's the government's role in finding a way forward? The second Republican debate rolls on from Simi Valley.
Jesus, fucking, they really need to put a content warning before they show me Ronald Reagan.
Is and what she represents in the long history of the world.
I'm sure that programs that are used in like doctors' offices and things like that
Do you trust our government
are
and where the
vastly
economy is heading?
overpriced.
Does the thought of losing your hard-earned retirement savings to
But it's not like
VC's
that
reckless
gets kicked back nearly as hard onto the customer as the medicine that they take home and consume.
by reaching out to Birch Gold Group?
That's just my take.
Birch Gold has helped
I'm sure that could also use a little bit of regulation
moving part of an existing
by the federal government too.
into a physical
Having done no research into it, I'm sure it's exorbitantly overpriced.
Americans turn to gold. With an A+ rating, with a Better Business Bureau, and thousands of happy customers, Birch Gold is the trusted leader in gold. They're busier than ever because people are taking control of their savings away from the government and into their own hands. Text the
Less
word
people are
happy
going to the
the number
hospital because
98,
technology is
98,
better. Yeah.
Get a free info kit on
Anecdotal evidence. I went to
pressure,
the
no obligation.
I went to the doctor's office to get my chronic knee pain checked out. And I called on a Sunday.
Hey, YouTube, what are you doing?
Or sorry, I called on a
updating
Monday.
My content policies. Really? Do you mind if I take a look?
I called on a Monday. They said, "Yeah, can you come in on Tuesday?" And I said, "Oh, like tomorrow at 8:30?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'll be there at 8:30 a.m." And then I called them at like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. I get there the next day. They're like, "Oh, you were scheduled for yesterday." I'm like, "Yesterday at 8:30?" They're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "That's crazy," because that was in the past when I called. And they said, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I called yesterday at like 3 p.m. I can't have been scheduled for yesterday at 8:30 a.m. because that was prior in time from when I called." And they're like, "Oh, sorry, we've really been having a lot of trouble with our scheduling program." And essentially, they were I got jerked around the doctor's office for like an hour and a half because they were having tech problems.
Do you owe over $10,000 in back?
So thanks, Biden.
Kevin Sorbo here with an important message. The Biden administration has proposed an $80 billion plan to boost IRS collections. This means they could garnish your wages, levy your bank account, and even seize your property. Tax Network USA, a trusted tax firm, can help
Tax
protect your
Network
income
USA.
and assets today while quickly
Taxes
settling
are
your tax
difficult.
debt.
And there's no other way around it.
While you still have options.
They are a company.
Call Tax Network USA today.
Hey there, stop changing channels. I'm out here in the woods, and you gotta see this. It's the new Patriot Power Generator.
I don't think that's a good place to put your generator.
Worth its weight in gold when your power.
But also, this is a pussy shit. I'm not buying no goddamn solar panel. Are you kidding me?
It's fume-free, safe to use inside,
It's a
and never needs gas.
it's a solar panel for
Plus, you'll get
Patriots.
this solar panel free. Go to 4patriots.com and do it now. Get your solar generator with free shipping and free panel at 4patriots.com.
Jesus. And then like you can like the audio ramp goes so sharply down after that like initial 3 seconds. And then it becomes a normal volume. It has to shout at you. It's like, pay attention!
Does the thought of losing your hard-earned retirement savings to DC's reckless spending scare the heck out of you? Smart Americans
DC's
are
reckless
taking
spending.
action
We're
by
not gonna have
texting
any
the word
money.
now to 9898
Whenever it's time for
a free
retirement.
info kit on
Damn
gold
it.
from Birch Gold Group. For 20 years, Birch Gold has helped concerned Americans protect their future by moving part of an existing IRA or 401k
Wow.
into a
We've already been
physical
watching this for an
gold
hour, huh?
Text now to 989898 now.
I like whenever the moderator said most illegal immigrants in the states come in through a legal port of entry, and then I said, "No, goddamn it, it's the fuck. They're building tunnels and shit." And before I could finish my statement, that's exactly what Vivek Ramaswamy said. Is this a Rumble moment? Probably.
Questions, Governor Haley. American students, they are in academic trouble. They have lower scores in math and reading. There's chronic absenteeism. That's at record highs.
Let's go.
This has even
Skip
been
class.
called education homicide. You say school choice is the answer.
We're experiencing education homicide.
Carolina, your home state, still has not enacted universal school choice, and even the current expansion will be fully implemented until 2027. Parents can't wait 4 years for a fix. So what would you do right now?
Well, and
Do it yourself.
choice isn't the
Homeschool.
only answer, but I'll tell
What are
you,
you,
it's
stupid?
not out of a
You
lack
don't-
of
you don't
trying
know-
that we didn't
you don't
try and
know,
get
like,
school
eighth grade
choice in
math?
South Carolina. What I'll tell you, first of all, is we have to acknowledge the fact that 67% of our 8th graders are not proficient in reading or math. Over 80% of our 8th graders aren't proficient in history or civics. And recently they came out and said our 12 and 13
I bet that number's even lower
at the lowest
for
levels they've been
people who have been out
in
of school
reading
for a
and math
decade.
in decades. So the first thing we've got to do is
I
we've
feel like
got
the
to make sure
average
we
8th
catch our
grader is
kids back
probably
up.
better
We
at
have to
reading
make
than the
sure they can
average
read.
55-year-old.
A child that can't read by 3rd grade is 4 times less likely to graduate high school. We need to do reading remediation. We need complete transparency in the classroom. No parent should ever wonder what's being said or taught to their child in the
That's just
classroom.
because schools
we
keep
need to
getting
make sure
shot
that
up.
we have school choice
I don't think so.
that there's competition. We need to move all the programs from the federal government down to the states and let states decide what education looks like in their states.
I think if
And we
you
need to
believe
start
that
building things in America
people are
again. Let's put
performing poorly on
vocational
tests
classes
because
back
of
in our
all
high
of the
schools,
school
and
shootings,
let's get
you
our
might
kids
have
building the
a
things that we know that we can make. When we start to focus
might
on that
have
and
a
really bring in
incorrect
that
view
parental
of what's
involvement,
actually going
that's when
on.
we'll start to see a difference. But we've got to get parents back included. We've got to quit spending time on this DEI and CRT and instead focus on financial literacy.
God damn it,
on
CRT,
digital
we're spending too much
and
money on
making
it.
sure that our
Dumb
kids know
bitch.
what they need to do
Kids
to
are
have the
stupid
jobs
because of
the
all
next generation.
the melee.
On the subject of education, a question for Governor Christie. Students in your state are getting high marks on their report cards, but minorities are not doing well with math and reading. Black and Hispanic students averaging 29 points lower than white students in New Jersey. Would you address
that a real
minorities
stat?
first?
You have to address all students. And look, in our state, Stuart, frankly, before I was governor, that gap was close to 50%. And what we did was institute more charter schools and more Renaissance schools and more public school choice in New Jersey with innovative solutions.
Pay for it
in
out of
cities
pocket,
like
why don't you?
Camden, where now we took what was the worst school district in America, during my time, and we have now increased that by nearly 40% in terms of their proficiency. It can be done when you give people choice. But let's tell the truth to everybody about what this is. This public school system is no longer run by the public. It is run by the teachers' unions in this country. Randy Weingarten and her crew.
Unions are bad.
Absolutely strangling. They are taking the
We would be
worst of their members
so
and
good
defending
if it
them
weren't for the
rather than
unions.
advocating for our kids. And when you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers' union, there is no chance that you could take the stranglehold away from the teachers' union every day. They have an advocate inside the White House every day for the worst of their teachers, not for our students to be the best they can be. A President of the United States has to take on the teachers' union. I did it in New Jersey, and I will do it as President of the United States.
The teachers' union, it's like it's like a savage raid boss that you have to. All of the Republicans have to party up. And they have to really chip at it piece by piece because it's just so monstrous.
Could be applied for their personal benefit. You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery, not because of it. But many are still hurt. For descendants of slaves, this is personal. What is your message to them?
So first of all, that's a hoax that was perpetrated by Kamala
Get over
Harris.
it.
We are not going to be doing that. Second of all, that was written by descendants of slaves. These are great Black history scholars, so we need to stop playing these games. Here's the deal. Our country's education system is in decline because it's focused on indoctrination, denying parents' rights. Florida represents the revival of American education. We're ranked #1 in the nation in education by U.S. News and World Report. My wife and I, we have a 6, 5, and 3-year-old. This is personal to us. We didn't just talk about universal school choice.
Here's your 12th
we
chance to
enacted
walk it
universal school
back.
choice. We didn't just talk about Parents' Bill of Rights. We enacted the Parents' Bill of Rights. We eliminated critical race theory, and we now have American civics and the Constitution in our schools in a really big way, just like President Reagan asked for in his farewell address back in 1989. Florida is showing how it's done. We're standing with parents, and our kids are benefiting.
Senator Scott, you oppose to these new standards. What is your message?
As opposed to the Democrats that hate parents.
There is not.
I forgot he was here.
There is not a redeeming quality in slavery. He and Kamala should have just taken the one sentence out. America has suffered because of slavery, but we've overcome that. We are the greatest nation on earth.
We got over it.
Because we faced our demons in the mirror and made a decision. So often we think that all the issues about crime and education,
that was like
so. We always think that
within
those
our
issues
lifetime.
go back to slavery. Here's the challenge, though. Black families survived slavery. We survived poll taxes and literacy tests. We survived discrimination being woven into the laws of our country. What was hard to survive was Johnson's Great Society, where they decided to put money, where they decided to take the black father out of the household to get a check in the mail, and you can now measure that in unemployment, in crime, in devastation. If you want to
how did we turn this around into talking about welfare queens ruining black households?
Our nation continues.
It's because of child support or because of like low income welfare. It's because we're raking in too much welfare in order to that's driving out all of the fathers, right?
To go in the right direction. It's why I can
Rumble
say I have been discriminated against, but America is not a racist country. Never, ever doubt who we are.
No racism.
The greatest country on God's green earth, and frankly, the city on the hill needs a brand new leader, and I'm asking for your vote.
I'm going to have a question for you, Mr. Ramaswamy. Over 10.7 million students in over 18,000 public schools nationwide
Vivek.
have the ability to change their identity without parental notification. Governor Christie told Stewart last week that he would pass a federal law to protect parental rights. Would you try to do the same?
I have to be very clear about this. Transgenderism, especially in kids, is a mental health disorder. We have to acknowledge the truth of that for what it is. I met 2 young women early in this campaign.
Specifically on parental rights in schools.
Parents have the right to know. And you know what the hypocrisy of this is? Even New Hampshire failed to actually get past a piece of legislation here. The very people who say that this increases the risk of suicide are also the ones saying that parents don't have the right to know about that increased risk of suicide. And I'm sorry, it is not compassionate to affirm a kid's confusion. That is not compassion, that is cruelty. I met 2 young women, Chloe and Katie, early in this campaign, who are in their 20s, now regret getting double mastectomies and a hysterectomy. One of them will never have children. And the fact that we allowed that to happen in this country is barbaric. So I will ban.
Here are some cherry-picked examples of the very few amount of people who have regretted their decision, and also they're very real, and I didn't make them up.
States absolutely have to follow that through.
Governor Burgum,
We
just to
stand
follow
for
up on
parental
this,
rights.
because
Yes.
you in your state, you do not
It's
have
the
a law that
same
says
rhetoric that
parents
we
can't be
applied
notified.
to gay
But you wanna
people
be
20
president.
years ago.
Would you try to pass a federal law to say parents have that right?
I think this is a state's issue, but I do
So
want
once
to say
this becomes
something,
too
because all
yikes
night
for
long
public
we've been talking
discourse,
about
what's
issues
the
about
next
how it's
group of
broken in
people that we're going to
Washington,
punch
and
down
I respect
upon?
all of the people on the stage here for
We're
their
kind of
100+
running out.
years of public service. Thank you. But the reason why we're not talking about education or health care or safety being a problem in North Dakota is because we have
I want
a
to go back
business
to the
leader.
no true Scotsman
I've got more
approach, where it's
experience
like
as a business leader,
it's just
than
like
I think this whole group combined. I
other
know I've
white
created
people,
more
but they're
jobs
like
than
not the
everybody
cool
else on
kind.
stage. Thousands of high-paying jobs that have real meaning. So as a business leader, you come
Where it's
in
like,
and you
oh
treat
yeah,
the
you're
taxpayer
from
like a
you're from
customer.
Massachusetts,
So in North
buddy.
Dakota, instead of fighting with the teachers unions, we actually created a K-12 coordinating council. Everybody gets in the room, and the customer is
But
the
you
student.
do understand that this is an issue that many people in America really are concerned about, worried about parents and notification in schools.
Yes, and that's why we have 50 platforms of innovation. That's why we have states. There are certain things the federal government is supposed to do. It's not the Department of Education. That needs to be assembled. We got to move it back to states. Do what we did in North Dakota. Instead of like, oh, here's a choice school and here's an old school, the old way with the teachers union, the kids are trapped. We made every school in North Dakota an innovation school. Every school got out from under the red tape, and the things that help teach the values that we're trying to get, like 4-H, like FFA, like Boy Scouts, they can get credit for all of that stuff in North Dakota.
4-H, damn it, we're teaching our kids how to
the median SAT scores
drive
in the
tractor.
country right now.
Vice President Pence, the Department of Homeland Security warns
That's what
that
we need,
violence
goddammit.
against LGBTQ+ people is on the rise and intensifying. According to a recent study, members of that community are 9 times more likely to be victims of violent hate crimes. As president, how would you protect
Serves 'em right, damn
this
it.
community from violent attacks and discrimination?
Well, as President of the
Great
United
question
States,
for Pence.
I'll stand up for the safety and the civil liberties of every American, from every background.
Say the words.
And I want the American people to know that. But I want to answer the question as well, Dana, that you just asked Doug Burke.
Dodge the question. Never mind.
Because by way of full disclosure, Chris, you mentioned the president's situation. My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And so full disclosure. Look, education is a state and local function.
Congratulations.
The state of Indiana had one of the very first school choice programs in the country. And when I was governor of the state of Indiana, we doubled it. And as to your question, Dana, let's be very, very clear. When the Linn-Mar Community Schools in Iowa had a policy where you had to have a permission slip from your parents to get a Tylenol, but you could get a gender transition plan without notifying your parents, I weighed in with a
You need a
foundation.
prescription
That's not
for
bad
Tylenol,
policy.
but
That's
you could
crazy.
you just go into
We're
the
gonna
nurse's
stand up for
office
the
and they
rights
give
of
you gender
parents,
fluid.
And we're going to pass a federal ban on transgender chemical or surgical surgery anywhere in the country. We've got to protect our kids from this
Talk about
radical
the
gender
kids,
ideology
guys.
agenda. And
It's
we've
the
got to
kids.
empower parents at the state level with the ability to choose where their kids go to school, whether it's public, private, parochial, or homeschool. You empower parents, and our schools will straighten up and reflect our values and focus on the basics faster than you could possibly imagine.
Next subject.
Can I just say one thing?
China is investing. If you talk over everybody, we lose time. China is investing heavily in their tech companies. $280 billion every year on semiconductor research and development. That is 1 CHIPS Act per year. Governor DeSantis, you say companies like Google and
are we
Meta
about to
have
attack
too much
the
power.
Biden CHIPS Act
Doesn't going after
from the
them
left
give
and
China
saying that it
an
wasn't
edge?
enough?
No, I think you look at
I hope
how
they do
our
that.
societies develop. They have huge amount of power over our society. They've cracked down on free speech. We're not saying you don't want them to do business, but you want it to be a free market. And right now they're monopolies. But this issue of China, I think, is really going to be fundamental. We have subcontracted out so much of our national needs to the CCP. We rely on them for a whole host of issues. We need to reshore.
I think
and we need
that
to decouple
having a
those
trade
important
partner is
industries.
bad.
We need to get
We
that
need to
back
be
in the United
isolationist
States.
once
They are
more.
our top geopolitical adversary by a country mile. Xi
I guess I'll touch it. We're gonna miss out what he said, dude.
That. And we should have more training available both at the county college level and the local level for people to be able to access it. So yes, I would be in favor of that. But this is a much bigger issue than that. We can't be afraid of innovation. America has been the great innovator of this world over the last 250 years.
Everyone chop chop.
A technological innovator,
Get out
a
there and start
manufacturing innovator,
making
and a
new
freedom
shit.
and governmental innovator. And that's why America
I want the new
stand
iPhone.
strong in the world, pro-innovation,
not like
pro-progress.
the new
And
iPhone,
I
but
will
you know
tell
what I
this,
mean.
As President of the United States, what I will do is to make sure that every innovator in this country gets the government the hell off its back and out of its pocket so that it can innovate and bring great new inventions to our country that will make everybody's lives better.
Mr. Ramesh.
He says, I don't know, just do the new thing.
TikTok
like
is banned on government-issued devices because of its tie.
Thanks, Rumble.
Is to the Chinese government. Yet you joined TikTok after dinner with boxer and influencer Jake Paul. Should the commander-in-chief be so easily persuaded by an influencer?
So the answer is I have a radical idea for the Republican Party. We need to win elections.
No
and part of how we win elections
way
is reaching
that we just
the next
said
generation
Jake
of
Paul.
young Americans where they
We just said Jake Paul at the fucking Republican primary.
Under the age of 16 should not be using addictive social media. We're only going to ever get to declaring independence from China, which I favor, if we actually win. So while the Democrats are running rampant, reaching the next generation 3-1,
should have been on the drinking game. There's
exactly one
that's
person
too
in the
ridiculous for
Republican
me to
Party which
possibly
talks
have
a big
predicted.
game about reaching young people.
Jake Paul.
And that's me. And let me level with all of you. I'm the new guy here. And so I know I have to earn your trust. What do you
I'm the
see?
new guy.
You see a young man who's in a bit of a
What
hurry,
even is
maybe a
TikTok?
little
I don't know.
ambitious, bit of a know-it-all, it seems at times. I'm here to tell you, no, I don't know it all. I will listen. I will have the best people, the best and brightest in this country, whatever age they are, advising me. We will be probably many of the people on this stage included. That's how I built my companies. I want to be challenged. I want people who disagree with me. That's what makes America great, because we're not a
Bro, he is
perfect
not.
nation.
He did not
We're
even
founded
touch the
on
question with a
pursuit of
30-foot pole.
perfection. That is what makes America great. And that is why we will end it once we win this election.
I have to jump. I have to jump in here. I'm sorry. I have.
was speaking.
There's one person on this.
This is infuriating because TikTok is one of the most
TikTok.
dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what
TikTok's
you
the
got,
worst
honestly, every
one.
time I
All
hear you, I
social
feel a
media is
little bit
bad,
dumber
but
for what you
TikTok
say.
is really
Because
bad.
I can't believe that here you've got a TikTok situation. What they're doing is these
The TikTok
150 million people are on
situation.
TikTok. That means they can get your contacts, they can get your financial information, they can get your emails, they can
Let me
get
just say,
text messages, they can get all of
this
these
is important.
things.
This is
China
very important
knows
for our party.
exactly what they're
This
doing.
is very important
and
for our party, and I'm
going
gonna
to
say
you've gone and you've
we
helped
should
China
stop.
make medicines
will-
in China, not
Excuse
America.
me. Excuse
You're
me.
now wanting kids to go and get on the social media that's
Fight,
dangerous
fight,
for all
fight,
of us.
fight.
You went and you were in business with the Chinese that gave Hunter Biden $5 million. We can't trust you. We
So
can't
let me-
trust you.
let me
We
say
can't have
something.
TikTok in our
I
kids'
think that
lives.
this is
We
very
need to ban
important.
it.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 15 seconds.
I think, excuse me.
You have 15 seconds, Mr. Ramaswamy.
Thank you. I think we would be better served as a Republican Party if we're not sitting here hurling personal insults and actually have a legitimate debate about policy following Reagan's 11th Commandment in his honor. And the answer is that is what actually makes our country strong. And I believe in these people. These are good people on the stage.
He hasn't.
They disagree. But
he hasn't talked about the.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, he didn't answer the question even a little bit, did he?
Governor DeSantis, I'm going straight.
On this stage
Sir, we will have to cut your mic, and I don't want to do that. I don't. So, Governor DeSantis,
Oh,
let me
I
go
don't.
to you. Experts say President Putin has
sorry.
ordered assassinations across Europe, cheated on arms control treaties with the U.S., and seeks to work with China to force our decline. President Reagan believed that if you want to prevent a war, you better be prepared to fight one. Today, the Republican Party is at odds over aid to Ukraine. The price tag so far is $76 billion. But is it in our best interest to degrade Russia's military for less than 5% of what we pay annually on defense, especially when there are no U.S. soldiers in the fight?
It's in our interest to end this war, and
I
that's
can't
what I
believe
will
we
do
said
as
Jake
president.
Paul.
We are not going to have a blank check. We will not have
That
U.S.
is
troops.
nuts.
We're going to make the Europeans do what they need to do. But they've sent money to pay bureaucrats' pensions and salaries and funding small businesses halfway around the world. Meanwhile, our own country is being invaded. We don't even have control.
What about the
of our
southern
own
border?
territory. We have got to defend.
Dude,
the
I love
American
whatabouting
people
the southern border whenever
things. And I watch these guys in Washington,
it's in regards to a war that's being fought, an actual war, a real one, with like armies and stuff.
About the fentanyl deaths. They don't care
on the other
about
half of the world.
Communities being overrun because of this border. They don't care about the Mexican drug cartels. So as Commander-in-Chief, I will defend this country's sovereignty.
But it's not a territorial
How?
dispute. It's never been a territorial dispute.
And 90% of the resources that we send over to Ukraine is guaranteed. It's a loan. It is not 90% of the money that we send over there is loan. Well, we can talk about this, but at the end of the day, 90% of the money that we send over there is actually in the form of a loan. It's not actually not be paid by Ukraine. It's paid by the NATO, our NATO allies.
So I think it's a good topic.
Number two, I think it's a really good topic too. But I will say, let's debate the fact that our national vital interest is in degrading the Russian military. By degrading the Russian military, we actually keep our homeland safer.
Let's just
keep
bomb
our
them.
troops at home, and we all understand Article 5 of NATO.
We have to level with the American people.
I thought you said something about waiting until your turn to talk. So hold on. So at the end of the day, I'm going to finish my. I'll be happy to debate
ahead
this.
and then I'll respond.
I'll look forward to this one right now. So at the end of the day, when you think about the fact that if you want to keep American troops at home, attack on NATO territory would bring us and our troops in. By degrading the Russian military, we reduce, if not eliminate, an attack on NATO territory.
Finish that exchange. We have to level with the American people. We have to level with the American people on this issue. The reality is just because Putin's an evil dictator does not mean that Ukraine is good. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties.
A win
that has
for
actually,
Russia is a
that
win
is not
for
true.
China.
We're driving
a win
Russia.
For Russia
excuse
is a
me.
win for China.
Excuse me, Nick. You'll have
but
a chance.
I forgot you like
Can we cut her mic? It's Vivek
You'll have your
time.
chance in just a moment. The hurling personal insults isn't helping. China is the real enemy, and we're driving Russia further into China's arms. We need a reasonable peace plan to end this.
You're either for China or against China.
Vivek, if you let Putin have Ukraine, that's a green light to China to take Taiwan. Peace comes through strength.
Governor Christie. Governor Christie.
The Communist Party of China is the real enemy.
Governor Christie. Governor Christie. President Biden's first 2 years have brought China, Russia, and Iran closer together. Are we focused too much on Ukraine and not enough on this threat from the New World Order?
No, they're all connected, Stuart. They're all connected. The Chinese are paying for the Russian war in Ukraine. The Iranians are supplying more sophisticated weapons, and so are the North Koreans now as well, with the encouragement of the Chinese. The naivete on the stage from some of these folks is extraordinary. Look, I understand people want to go and talk to Putin. Guess what? So did George W. Bush. So did Barack Obama. So did Donald Trump. And so did Joe Biden when he said a small invasion wouldn't be so bad. Every one of them has been wrong. And the fact of the matter is, we need to say right now, that the Chinese-Russian alliance is something we have to fight against, and we are not going to solve it by going over and cuddling up to Vladimir Putin. Look, Donald Trump said
Let's just declare
Vladimir
war.
Putin was brilliant
Directly.
and a great leader. This is the person
Stop
who
beating
is
around the
murdering
bush.
people in his own country, and now not having enough blood, he's now going to Ukraine to murder innocent civilians and kidnap 20,000 children. And let me tell you, if you think that's where it's going to stop, if we give him any of Ukraine, next will be Poland. This is a guy who said, this is a guy in 1991 who said that was the darkest moment in world history when the Soviet Union fell. Listen, everybody, he wants to put the old band back together, and only America can stop it. And
I think I got my swagger back.
I have a question I think you're going to really like, or at least you have experience in it. And we need to talk about America's farmers, because there is a foreign policy connection here. The U.S. and China are in this fierce economic competition. It's hurting American businesses, and there is blowback against American farmers because China then targets them in retaliation. How would you, as president, protect American farmers and ranchers from that kind of retaliation
that was kind of heavy.
from a foreign government like China?
Well, first
How
of all,
about growing
we've got the best
potatoes?
farmers and ranchers in the world right here in America. If they have a level playing field, they can outcompete anyone in the world. But this is part of the larger issue that we're talking about here, which is we're in a Cold War with China. The Biden administration won't admit that. But we're also in an economic war through what we're doing with agriculture and energy. And we're also in a war with them relative to cyber war. We get attacked every day in North Dakota, every state, every school district, our tribes, all being attacked every day by either China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea. And now we've
These
got
places
a Biden
are all bad.
administration whose whole policy is
I'm pretty
appeasement.
sure.
They're out there, creating the world, making it less safe. $6 billion they traded for 5 people. They've just now set a price on anyone's head who's a tourist from America, who's a student from America, for kidnapping. If you want more kidnapping, put a price on it. And then they're also helping Iran get to have
I don't know
more
what he's talking about, but
closer
the
to nuclear
prospect
weapons,
of
which pushes all of the Middle East closer to China and Russia. The whole
rescuing
thing is
people,
absurd. And then, of course, we're
American
gonna give
citizens
Ukraine to
overseas
Russia, and
is
then we're
bad
gonna
is
give
pretty funny.
Taiwan to China and think that's a foreign policy. That will make our nation less successful, make us more poor. And at the core of all that is energy policy, because China imports 10 million barrels of oil a day. They're the largest importer in the world, and we've had 4 cabinet members from the Biden administration there this summer, and none of them talked about U.S. energy. The first one to go to each of those countries was Kerry.
We should burn more coal, is what it boils down to.
Climate policy, which is making the world less stable.
We need
It's
to
empowering
unleash
dictators.
our
It's not
coal
about climate
reserves.
change that we need worried about. It's about the Biden climate policies that are actually the existential
This
threat
damn
to
green
America's
energy,
future.
actually, we need to do the opposite.
Mexico's president called, who supports sending U.S. military into the country, quote, scoundrels. Mexico is the United States' most important trade partner and border security. You say you will send special operations to attack the cartels in Mexico. So,
is there a term for whenever there's
drone strikes?
There's
It
American
means special operations.
militaries.
It's how we deal with our terrorists. And
in
what you need to do is understand
Central
that
and South
Mexico's
American
not being
nations.
good
Do they have a
partner
word
if we
for
lost
that?
75,000 Americans last year.
For
Mexico's
what
not
you-
being a good partner
for what
if
you
they're
call
letting the cartels
American
get away
army
with
men
what they're
who
getting
are-
away with. What
have
we
their
will
boots
do
on the
is we will
ground in
make
a
sure that we send in our special
Central or
operations,
South American
and
country.
we will take out the cartels, we'll take out their operations, we'll take out anything that's doing it. But we're going to go after China, because China is the one sending the fentanyl in the first place. And we will end all normal trade relations until China stops sending fentanyl. And then we'll do the special
wait,
operations, and we'll
who's
get it from both
supposed to
sides.
go?
This is where
What
President
is
Trump
it?
went wrong. He focused on trade with China. He didn't focus on the fact that they were buying up our farmland. He didn't focus on the fact that they were killing Americans. He didn't focus on the fact that they were stealing $600 billion in intellectual property. He didn't focus on the fact that they put a spy base off
They're
our
stealing
shores in
$400
Cuba. They didn't focus enough on the fact that all of our law enforcement drones
Disney
in America
products.
are Chinese, and we've got all these little surveillance cells. We need to start focusing on what keeps Americans safe. That hasn't happened in a long time. As your president, I will make sure every American is safe, and we'll do whatever it takes to make that happen.
All right. I want to get to Senator
That sounds
Scott.
good. I want to be safe.
You're all auditioning for the job as President of the United States. You want to earn these votes. But the world's problems land in the Oval Office. During the presidential debates in the year 2000,
The word's gringo,
neither Al
by the way.
Gore
That's what I
nor
was
George W.
referring
Bush
to.
was asked about Al-Qaeda. Yet, Just 1 year later, al-Qaeda's attack on September 11th claimed nearly 3,000 lives. And the farther we get from September 11th,
this goes way
the closer
back.
we are to September 10th. Senator Scott, you have no executive branch experience. What has prepared you to protect the nation from a major man-made national security crisis?
Well, one of the things I've had the good fortune of doing is serving on
I feel like it always freezes whenever Tim Scott's on the screen.
committees in the United States Senate, like the Senate Armed Services Committee. I'm on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, also on the Finance Committee and the Banking Committee. Talk about addressing the issue of fentanyl. I've written the legislation, passed it through the Banking Committee and the Senate that would freeze the assets and sanction the accounts of the Mexican cartels. There are weapons that we have within the arsenal that I was able to get past.
Just deny their credit cards.
In the polarizing Senate.
Why has nobody done that?
I've also understood without question the fact that if you look at the details before 9/11, there was information and intelligence that was available that suggested
how does this relate to the cartels?
An attack was coming. Having the right intelligence partners with us is key to making sure that we prevent the next 9/11 from ever happening. Having that experience for the last 10 years is really
MS-13 is going to perform 9/11 too in a Democrat-run city.
Well, I think you asked
it's a matter of time.
Executive experience. I think it's vitally important. And I stand before you today as a candidate for president because I think this country's in a lot of trouble.
Huh?
And you hear the fire on the stage tonight.
I think it's really important to
fire in all of our
secure the
voices.
border.
And it's because Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. This is a time for those of us that have the experience, the tested experience, and a commitment to the conservative agenda that Ronald Reagan brought forward in this party of a strong national defense, standing with our allies, standing up to our enemies, supporting limited government and traditional values, need to step forward.
We're juggling
frankly,
this
our
and
does face a
saying
time
don't
for
give aid to
choosing, as I said
Ukraine
at the top of this debate,
at the same time.
Whether we're going to stand on the foundation of that conservative agenda
Is
that
Ted not
Ronald
running?
Reagan poured,
Sadly,
or
no.
whether we're going to follow the siren song
The circus
of
misses him
populism
dearly.
unmoored to conservative principles. I'm the most experienced, most qualified, and most consistent conservative in this field, and I'm ready to lead America at home and abroad on day one.
Time for choosing to go to a break. Ilya.
We need to go to a commercial break where Reagan built a coalition that lasted decades. Can any of these candidates do the same?
What is she talking
We'll
about?
take that up when the debate continues.
What coalition did the Reagan build?
Do you trust our government and where the economy is heading? Does the thought of losing your hard-earned
I'm gonna run
retirement
ads
savings to DC
and go to the bathroom. Be right back.
scare the heck out of you? Well, you're not alone. Smart Americans are taking action while they still can by reaching out to Birch Gold Group. For over 20 years, Birch Gold has helped concerned Americans protect their futures by moving part of an existing IRA or 401k into a physical gold IRA. Because when things are a mess, like right now, Americans turn to gold. With an A+ rating, with a Better Business Bureau, and thousands of happy customers, Birch Gold is the trusted leader in gold. They're busier than ever because people are taking control of their savings away from the government and into their own hands. Text the word NOW to the number 989898 to get a free info kit on gold. There's no pressure and no obligation, just information. So get your no-cost info kit now. Text NOW to 989898.
Hi, welcome to YouTube. Thanks, it's great to be here. I'm just gonna upload my video right now.
Let me see it first.
Flagged! Did you just cancel me? All right, I'm gonna be leaving now.
Where are you going?
To a place where I can't get canceled and they celebrate free speech.
Have fun in Fantasyland.
It's not Fantasyland, it's called Rumble. Later, pal.
Do you owe over $10,000 in back taxes? Kevin Sorbo here with an important message. The Biden administration has proposed an $80 billion plan to boost IRS collections. This means they could garnish your wages, levy your bank account, and even seize your property. Tax Network USA, a trusted tax firm, can help protect your income and assets today while quickly settling your tax debt. But you have to act now while you still have options. Call Tax Network USA today.
Hate to see it. What? Who do you think is winning the debate? Who is getting destroyed? Oh, did you just cancel me? Oh, is that?
Hey there, stop changing channels.
I like they
I'm
ran
out here in the woods, and you
that
gotta
ad
see this.
the
It's
last
the
time.
new Patriot Power Generator 2000X, a solar generator worth its weight in gold when your power goes out, with double the capacity and expandable, so you can run your fridge even longer. It's fume-free, safe to use inside, and never needs gas, ever. Plus, you'll get this solar panel free. Go to 4patriots.com and do it now. Get your solar generator with free shipping and free panel at 4patriots.com.
I still can't believe they said Jake Paul. Never in a million years did I think that Jake Paul would get mentioned. I think Trump is going to win in GL. Well, he's definitely winning the primary. There ain't no doubt about that one.
Welcome back to the Republican primary
What's up,
debate
gamers?
here at the Reagan Library. We've got a lot more issues to cover and a lot more questions to go. So let's dive right back in. We're here in California, where gas is nearing $6 a gallon. Oil is close to $100 a barrel again. You say, drill, baby, drill. But the courts won't let you. Mr. Ramaswamy, how would you bring down prices without immediate drilling?
Well, look, I think that we do have to run through the courts.
We
get
invade
through the
Iraq.
Administrative state to make sure we're using the natural resources here
Again.
at home. But here's the other thing that we can do.
Third time's the charm.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
And it addresses the national debt as well as brings down prices. Put people back to work. We are using taxpayer money to pay people more to stay at home than to go to work. That is wrong. That contributes to
more
our
welfare,
supply chain crisis.
actually.
It contributes
Lazy
to
asses.
inflation. That's the easiest
They just had
way
more
to
money, the
unlock
gas
this
prices
economy.
wouldn't be
And
a
here's the other
problem.
thing. We have to put the Federal Reserve back in its place. This is an agency that has gone rogue. So in January 2026, when I have the opportunity as our next commander-in-chief, we will have a new chairman of the Federal Reserve who places priority on dollar stability, and then most importantly, send packing 75% of the administrative state, reduce the federal employee headcount by 75%, rescind 50% of unconstitutional federal regulations that are shackling
I'm going to go blow up
businesses,
the Fed.
both large and
And I don't
small.
mean that
I've offered a
figuratively.
very
I mean,
clear,
I'm going to go there
practical plan to
personally
do
with
it.
an explosive
That's how we
device
unleash the
and
economy.
blow it up.
That's how we revive the integrity of a three-branch constitutional republic rather than this technocracy and aristocracy in the administrative state.
Technocracy. I haven't heard that one before.
I think one of the signature accomplishments of our administration was in just a few short years, we achieved energy independence. We became a net exporter of energy for the first time in 75
Get over his
years.
Vegeta hairline.
But on day one, Joe Biden declared a war on energy, which was no surprise because when Joe Biden ran for president, he said he was going to end fossil fuels. And they've been working overtime to do that ever since. If I'm president of the United States, we're going to open up federal lands. We're going to unleash
Mike Pence and who
American
else?
energy. We're going to have an all of the above energy strategy. And I have a plan that
What is
actually
it?
would not only reclaim energy independence, but in 2006, America lost our position as the leading energy producer on Earth. I believe in the next 10 years with the right policies
I don't even know if
and,
that was true or
and
not.
experienced leadership in the White
Maybe
House,
it is.
we can
Feels
reclaim
like it's not.
our role as the leading energy
Maybe just by virtue of how
producer on
much
Earth,
size,
and that'll
how much
grow the American economy
geographical
for generations to
mass
come.
we have.
Governor Haley, reaction to that, please.
The only person who's leading an energy state. Could I answer the energy question?
No, Governor Haley.
So, the first thing I'll say is what I saw at the United
Why does the crowd
Nations is
laugh?
energy security is national security. We need a president that understands we have to partner with our producers and make sure that we have their backs. What you don't need is a president who is against energy independence. Ron DeSantis is against fracking. He's against drilling. He's been against. You did it. He always talks about what happens on day one.
I
You better
love
watch out
fracking.
because what happens on day two is when you're in trouble. Day two in
But
Florida,
fuck the fault
you
lines
banned
right up.
fracking, you banned offshore drilling, you did it on federal lands, and you took green subsidies that you didn't have to take.
Governor DeSantis, you were
It is
mentioned.
true.
You have the
Look at
right to
day two.
respond. 30 seconds.
Yeah. I just did a plan out in West Texas for American energy dominance. We're going to choose Midland over Moscow. We're going to choose the Marcellus over the Mullahs, and we're going to choose Bakken over Beijing, and we are going to lower your gas prices. We are going to get that job done because it's important for our national security, it's important for jobs, and that's one of the best ways to drive down inflation.
Governor DeSantis, Governor DeSantis,
Governor DeSantis,
this question is for you.
Our voters enacted a constitution.
Rhonda has been going to the panhandle of Texas personally to inspect the oil rigs.
They didn't vote on
Make sure they're up to code.
They voted it in. That's what we
And
did.
pumping.
Onshore, we do it in Florida. We don't have as much as maybe West Texas, but we do it. But that was the Constitution. So that's just wrong. And let's just get real here. My plan will get the job done.
My plan is the best plan. No other plan is like it.
We are moving on with this question for Governor DeSantis. Governor, excuse me, we cannot talk over each other. We must respect each other.
That's a drink.
My apologies for that.
I'm ready, Stu.
Governor DeSantis, this is your question. The Biden administration is hell-bent on student loan forgiveness. But you say colleges
kick the ladder out from behind you, damn it.
When graduates cannot pay their debt.
This is how I vote in the old school RuneScape polls. They do something where they're like, we're going to make agility easier for people to level up. Myself, who've already maxed out the agility and gotten the pet, I vote no. If it sucked for me, it has to suck for you too.
They're going to make different choices. They're going to try
Same
to
logic
graduate
applies
people
to
in 4 years. I
college.
just want to come back to something Dana asked.
I'm already out of college, never going back. I don't owe anything.
Memorial with the families,
Fuck
my
you.
wife and I were invited. It's very touching to be there,
Buffer.
and it affected my
No
life
skin off my
because I
back.
ended up joining the military as a result of that. I had been a blue-collar kid, minimum wage in Dunedin, Florida. I ended up
If I
getting
had
through
new
Yale and Harvard
1 to 99
Law
old school
School and
RuneScape
somehow
agility
came
the
out
hard
more
way, so do you.
conservative than when I went in, and that is not easy to do. Had a lot of opportunities to make money, but I wanted to serve, and I'll never forget coming back on the plane from Iraq, landing in Coronado, California, North Island, and feeling that breeze off the Pacific Ocean and say, you know what? I am
RuneScape is a hobby,
lucky
not
to
a path,
have been
being able to
born an
live.
American, and I
maybe
think
for
being
you.
able to serve, and I'll be the first president elected since 1988 who's actually served overseas in a war. I think that's going to help me as commander-in-chief to know how you see these issues and understand that there are real lives at stake for people that wear the uniform.
And we know that Governor Haley's husband is serving right now as well, and we thank him for that. Senator Scott, the national debt has nearly doubled in your time in office. The approval rate for Congress is at a mere 19%. If this were a business, you'd probably all be fired in Washington, but you're here tonight looking for a promotion. In 2013, Governor Haley hired you for the Senate. I'd like you to tell her why you should be promoted to
Pence
CEO
has said that?
of the
He's like
nation
the
instead
one
of her.
who has the least room to talk.
One of the things I'd say is if you look at our national debt of $33 trillion, I would love to have an opportunity to have this country pass a balanced budget amendment. That would constrain the spending in Washington in the same fashion that it does in every state in our nation, number one. Number two, if you want to actually reduce our national debt, you have to grow our economy. In order to grow our economy, you need to create about 10 million jobs to grow our economy at 5%. You can do that in 3 specific sectors. Number one, the energy sector. We could create between 3 and 3.5 million
How do we do that,
jobs
Tim Scott?
if we unleashed all of our energy resources. America is we're the richest country if you combine coal, gas, and oil. Why not
The good
unleash
ones.
all of our resources?
We need to
Number
use the
two,
good
we've
energies
lost
like coal, gas, and
100,000
oil.
factories. 100,000
And it'll be there
factories
forever.
in the last 25 years. If we continued on my Made in America
It's an
plan, we
infinite
could bring
supply.
jobs back to America
It's
in
a
similar
wellspring,
fashion that we did when I
infinitely
wrote
generating.
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We actually lowered the corporate tax from 35% to 21%, reshored or repatriated
It's like making
$1.7 trillion. We brought the unemployment rate
like
for
making like
African
a redstone
Americans,
machine
Hispanics,
in
and Asians
Minecraft.
to
It
the
just
lowest
solves
level
itself.
in the history
You only
of
have
the
to do it
country,
once.
and a 70-year low
But we
for
just choose
women.
not to.
Governor Haley, would you think you would deserve the
first of all,
promotion over
I think,
him?
look, I appreciate Tim. We've known each other a long time, but he's been there 12 years and he hasn't done any of that. He hasn't. They've only given 4 budgets on time in 40 years. He was part of that. He increased the national debt. He voted for the spending.
You voted
he has
for
made sure that the
you
borders are
actually
open and
asked
they
for a
haven't done
gas
anything.
tax
Look at
increase
everything
in
that's
South
happened.
Carolina.
12 years. Where have you been?
Ladies,
12
I voted on most of those things.
Please.
I have voted
And
in those.
nothing has happened.
Here's what you've
12
done.
years.
Here's the thing that I just find interesting.
Ron.
Ron with no mic.
Here's the fact.
And I appreciate a lot of the things they're saying.
Ron butts in.
I'm the only one up here who's gotten in the big fights and has delivered big victories for the people of Florida. And that's what it's all about.
I fight bigly, I win bigly.
When it gets hot in there, when they're shooting arrows at you, are you going to be stand up for parents' rights, to keep the state free? Are you going to be able to do all those things? And in the state of Florida, because of our success, the Democratic Party lies in ruins. We have won the big fights.
I
We have
went
turned our
door to
state
door
into a
and killed all of my
Republican state. People
Democratic
respond to
opponents in
leadership.
Florida.
I've done it while others have talked about it.
CEO, we actually have a CEO in the White House, which is what I think we need. If I may just briefly interject here, we need a zero-based budgeting. That's the way businesses are actually run. Start with zero as the baseline for the budget, and then see what's actually necessary. There isn't a blue state or a red state in this union that does it. The federal government doesn't do it, but successful companies, including the ones that I've built as a CEO, will do it. And I think we need a CEO in the White House to get that done.
Governor Burgum runs a state that way. Yes. Go ahead.
By the way, let's give Burgum a chance to speak. He's lonely over
But I'm
there.
just going to say right now, when you say nobody else has done it, the energy plans that have all been announced in the last month by these other folks on stage, we're already doing it in North Dakota. The border plans they're already talking about, we've got troops down at the border flying helicopter missions from North Dakota, from San Diego to the Gulf Coast,
protecting our southern border.
Transnational criminal organizations from inflicting the invasion and the mass casualties in our state.
They do it the best
And on the energy
out of anyone.
policy, we're already doing it. And it's not saying when nobody else has done the big fights. North Dakota was leading the charge. We won the battle to get the Biden administration, who was ignoring the law. They were the first administration since Truman that wasn't holding the quarterly required lease sales, and we won that in federal court. WOTUS, we won that in federal court. We're fighting the Biden administration on 20 fronts. To say that nobody's fighting the big fights, just look at the record of what we're doing right now. Energy, economy, national security, have been talking about it since day one, and now finally, good, we're having the conversation about it, but we've got the answer in North Dakota.
Governor Burgum, let's talk big government. This question's for you. Big government keeps getting bigger. 1/5 of all new jobs this year have been created by the government. Governor Burgum, you say you want to shrink the size of government, but it has been a century since any president has done that. Why would you be any different?
Well, because we've done
He
it
just
in
like
North Dakota.
accidentally gave
When I took
Biden
office,
a big
we
compliment.
shrunk the state budget general fund by 27% in the first 4 months I was office,
Like,
and we all
actually,
trained
Joe
still running
Biden
on
is
time.
giving people
Why?
a
Because
lot
we
of
had a business
jobs.
leader that was
Nuts?
actually there. Inside of every government job, there's 10 or 20% of mind-numbing, soul-sucking work that even the state and federal employees don't want to do, and you can engineer that work out of the job. That would free up right there 20% of 2 million civilian employees. And by the way, we've got 10 million jobs open. They'd have plenty to do. And
Oh,
they
we
could
have
be
a-
generating
we have a-
taxes instead
there's-
of being paid by taxes.
We
This
need
is
we need
totally
more
possible
automation
to do it
because
if you have somebody
there are
that
too many
understands
jobs and not
that
enough
having
people.
worked in technology
Actually,
for 30 years, everything we had to do was to be better, faster, and cheaper the next day. That's what we can do in government. That's what we're doing in North Dakota.
All right. Governor
also it's funny
DeSantis,
to imply that like
I want to ask you about
cur-
something
like
that I think
trying
is
to
on a lot of
automate
Republicans'
or
minds.
streamline
This
a
election
position
could come down to less than
removes
50,000
work.
votes in 3 states. Abortion was on the ballot in 6
there's
states
people
in
that have to make that
2022.
shit in the first place.
Republicans lost all of them. Next year, abortion will likely be on the ballot in Arizona. That is a must-win state. Governor DeSantis, how are you going
should we
to
kill
win over
babies?
independent, pro-choice voters in Arizona?
Same way we did in Florida. We won the greatest Republican victory in a governor's race in the history of the state, over 1.5 million votes. We were winning places like Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach, that nobody thought was possible because we were leading with purpose and conviction. I reject this idea that pro-lifers are to blame for midterm defeats. I think there's other reasons for that. The former president, he's missing in action tonight. He's had a lot to say about that. He should be here explaining
Where's
his
Donald?
comments.
Face me,
to
coward.
say that pro-life protections are somehow a terrible thing. I want him to look into the eyes and tell people who've been fighting this fight for a long time. My wife and I earlier today were at the gravesite of President and Mrs. Reagan.
He should be
and
here.
I
This is true.
that,
However,
there was a quote where it says,
general election,
every
he
single
will
person has purpose and
go
worth.
to the debates. There's
We're
no
better off
shot he
when
skips
everybody
those.
counts. And I think we should stand for what we
And
believe
that should
in.
be pretty
I think we should
good.
hold the Democrats accountable
We get the
for their
rematch.
extremism, supporting abortion all the way up until the moment of birth. That is an
Did you guys
inside
know
and
that if you have a
is wrong.
3-year-old kid in blue states, you can just kill them? And then they send you a $3,000 check saying congratulations? It's crazy what they're doing.
This referendum is on the ballot there.
Yeah, because I did it in New Jersey, Dana. You know,
Then why are all these other states losing?
Well, because they don't have leaders in those states who are leading the fight the way it should be led. And in fact is, look, I was the governor here of the only blue state that's represented up here. This is where the fight is really tough for Republicans. And those are the states that we're going to have to try to win if we're going to win the White House back. And what we did was 14 times, Dana, in 8 years, I vetoed Planned Parenthood funding. 14 times.
Planned Parenthood
No one
is
else
bad.
gets it that much. The Democrats just kept sending it to me, and I kept saying no because I believe in life.
It's funny how
But I
like
also believe
Planned
in states'
Parenthood
rights.
is so tied to
And I think
abortion
we fought
because
hard against
they
Roe
do
versus
help with
Wade
that.
for
But also they
decades
do
to
a
say
whole
that
lot of
states
stuff that
should make
isn't
these
abortion,
decisions.
and
so we're going to have those fights in the
all
states.
that
What we
stuff
need
is
a
pretty
leader who can talk to people and
unarguably
make them
good.
understand that if you're pro-life,
Like handing
you
out
have to be pro-life for the
contraception,
entire life. Not just the 9 months
you know, like
in the womb.
like
And we talked a lot about
supports
fentanyl
to
tonight, and we haven't
single
spoken
mothers,
one moment about treatment.
STI
But we need
testing.
to make sure that for the drug-addicted 16-year-old on the floor of the county lockup, her life is precious too. And we need to be providing treatment to cure this as a disease that it is. If you're pro-life, you got to be pro-life for the entire life. We start talking like that, they're going to do what I did in the blue state, which was get reelected with 61% of the vote and won 70% of independents and 51% of Latinos because I told them the truth from my heart.
Thank you. Vice President Pence, the latest Univision poll found that 73% of Latino voters think the Republican Party doesn't care about or is being hostile toward them.
Really?
The Hispanic community. Only Governor
Why would they think
DeSantis
that?
has translated his campaign into Spanish. How will you reach out to Latino voters?
Well, I promise you that we're going to continue to build bridges to every community in this country.
Dude,
and I'm incredibly proud
Mike
of
Pence
that.
keeps getting
Tax
handed
cut
these
and tax reform
softballs.
bill. I
How will
worked
you help
on
this
Capitol Hill to
community
help get that bill
or group of
passed
people in
into law.
specific? He's like, I
Largest
just
tax
like
cut
everybody.
in American history. We saw literally the lowest unemployment ever recorded for
we
Hispanic
definitely treat
Americans.
everyone the same.
Lowest unemployment ever recorded for African Americans. 50-year low for women. So I think the President of the United States needs to be a champion for the American dream for every American. It begins with the unborn and the aged and the infirm. And it begins with every ethnic group in this country. And I
This has
promise
been the
you, if I'm
Republican
President of
playbook
the
for
United
so
States,
long.
I'll be a champion.
Whenever
I'll
it
be a
comes
champion
to
for the American dream, for
Hispanic
Hispanic
voters,
Americans, and for every
it's always
American.
just,
So help me God.
what about abortion?
Senator Scott, reaction?
Yes, there's no doubt
Huh?
that if you lead by example,
You're probably Catholic,
it's the best
right?
way to get the job done.
You feel
Look at
pretty
my
adamantly
office
about
in the
this.
Senate. My chief of
Disregard
staff is
every
the
single
only
every single
Hispanic
other
female
issue,
chief
but
of staff
abortion?
in the Senate. I hired her because she was the best, highest qualified person we have. What we need are leaders who lead by example. And I will simply say, I would love to finish my conversation with Nikki as it relates to the job that needs to get done. Nikki offered a 10% gas tax.
These people
increase
are like
in South
the
Carolina.
guys who are
Talk
placed
about
like
someone who has
9th
never
through
seen a federal
5th
dollar
in
she
Mario
doesn't
Kart,
like.
just red shelling each other over and
10
over again, while the
cents
person
on this
in
gallon
first
in
place is
South
just
Carolina.
getting further and
As
further
the
ahead.
UN ambassador, you literally
Bring it,
put
Tim.
$50,000 on curtains in a $15 million subsidized location. Next.
You got bad information. First of all, I fought the gas tax in South Carolina multiple times against the establishment.
Just go to YouTube.
Against the establishment.
Just go to
and
YouTube
you want to know what that
yourself.
10 cent was?
Okay, I'll go to YouTube.
The gas tax, the establishment and the companies wanted me to do it so much that I said the only way I will
Here's
pass
what you have
it
to
if
do.
you will
All you
give
have
us
to do.
three.
All you have to do is go
if you will
watch
give-
Nikki Haley on YouTube.
Donald Trump keeps
If you
shock
will
and
give me
dodging.
3 times the deduction in income tax, then I will look at your gas
So you
tax,
said
which
yes,
is why it
you
didn't
would
happen.
pass.
Secondly,
Exactly, Ron.
secondly, on the 50 million.
Here is a nice part.
Secondly, on the curtains, do your
Yes.
homework.
Look at Ron.
Tim,
Did
because
you guys see
Obama
Ron
bought those
just
curtains.
beaming at the camera?
It's in the
That shot.
It's the State Department.
Didn't you send them
Did
back?
you send them back? You're the one that works in Congress.
Oh my gosh.
You get it
You
done.
hung them on your curtains.
They were there before I even showed up
my
at
God,
the
they're still going.
residence. You are
Here's
scrapping.
a-
You are scrapping.
I'm not scrapping.
Excuse me. You
Odds?
know I fought
Here's a fact.
taxes.
Here's a fact, though.
I cut taxes. I loaded up our
You wanted a gas tax increase, and then.
Hey, can I talk?
Ladies and gentlemen, we do not intend to go ahead like this. In fact, we're about to take a commercial break. We'll have more of the second Republican debate live from the Reagan
An ad break?
Presidential
Really?
Library in just a few moments.
Isn't there only like 8 minutes left? I thought. Wow, man, these mods are hilarious. They just let them just shout over one
Do
another.
you trust
It's
our
so
government
funny.
and where the economy is heading? Does the thought of losing your hard-earned retirement savings to DC's reckless spending scare the heck out of you?
TBH, everyone in power, Republican or Democrat, stink like poop.
While they still can, by reaching
Yeah, you should just throw your hands up, and both of these two things are the same. Actually, there's no differences between the two of them, and they're actually they're ran by one secretive shadow government that they live underground, and they're actually crabs.
They're busier than ever because people
So
are
there's
taking
really no
control of
point.
their savings away from the government and into their own hands. Text the word NOW to the number 989898 to get a free info kit on gold. There's no pressure and no obligation, just information.
The uniparty is real.
Text now to 989898.
Hey guys, Centrist here. Better things are not possible, and the government is all bad. That's what I'm saying.
I became a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. You make me miss being a professor at Penn. I was a professor at the University of Pennsylvania.
Professor
I was a
Biden,
professor at the
counter.
University of Pennsylvania. I became a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. I was a professor at Penn. I was a full professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Professor at the University of Pennsylvania. I was the Ben Franklin Professor of Practice at the University of Pennsylvania.
Fact check false. He's paid $1 million by Pennsylvania, but never touched in class. Fact check
Hello,
Biden.
I'm Rumble. And I'm YouTube.
Ah, this ad.
Why are you dressed like that? Well, I've been seeing a lot of violations in the community.
Was this
lately,
the
so I'm
one that you guys were
You mean, like,
screaming at me
people
whenever I
not
stood up last
following your
time?
policies?
They ran this one the last time. It's pretty funny.
What if someone tells the truth, but it's labeled as misinformation? Wow. What if I want to ask questions and have different opinions on things?
Different Rumble ad? Damn.
You're out of here!
Time to break free. Welcome to Rumble. We won't ban you for screaming racial epithets.
Former Navy SEAL platoon commander. I want to introduce you to the Patriot Power Generator 2000X. Use the endless free power of the sun to power lights, your TV,
Harness the power of the sun.
even run your fridge. And that's
It
without
sounds
gas,
cooler that way.
fumes, or noise. Go to 4patriots.com. You'll get a solar panel included free. This is about peace of mind. Get your solar generator and free panel at 4patriots.com.
You can quote unquote disagree with integration, but I don't think you should have the right to make your kids racist. That's my role as a parent.
The Biden administration
Get out of my household. I'll raise my kids the way that I see fit as a parent.
Garnish your wages, levy your bank account, and even
You know, whenever they get a C+ on their homework and I smack them around a little bit, that's none of your concern.
And assets today while quickly settling your tax debt.
Not me.
You have to
I'll
act now
teach
while
them
you
the same
still have
way.
options. Call Tax Network USA today.
Does the thought of losing your hard-earned retirement savings to DC's record
Refresh. Touch.
And welcome back to the final minutes. I could go another hour, but we only have a few minutes. And candidates, it's now obvious that if you all stay in the race, former President Donald Trump wins the nomination. None of you have indicated that you're dropping out. So,
come on, guys.
Which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island? Please use your
I said that at the start, didn't I?
on the notepad in front of you. 15 seconds starting now. Of the people on the stage, who should be?
Are we gonna Big Brother this?
I mean, we're here. Like, we're happy to debate. But
Are we? Come on, guys. We need to vote off Doug, right?
let's do some questions. Let's talk about the future of the country.
I want to be clear
Let me ask you this.
if I may.
Let me ask you something.
Yep.
Then if you won't answer that question, let me ask you this one.
Yeah.
What is
she
your
was serious.
mathematical path?
Yes.
She actually wanted him to do it.
In order to try to beat President Trump, who has a commanding and enduring lead in this race.
So polls
Jesus
don't elect
Christ.
presidents. Voters elect presidents.
Right.
And we're going to take the case of the people in these early states. We're going to do it in a state-by-state direction. And why? Because as Reagan said in his day, this is our time for choosing. We are not getting a mulligan on the 2024 election. Republicans have lost
I'll
three
drink
straight
for internal
elections in a
censored red
row.
on that one.
We were supposed to have a red wave with inflation at 9%. It crashed and burned. Not in Florida. It
So
didn't. We
the follow-up
delivered
question
it in
should be like,
Florida.
all right,
And
so like
we've gotta
nobody here is
choose,
gonna
right? We've gotta
beat
win.
Donald
We
Trump,
need
right?
somebody that's
We
gonna
can
be able
agree.
to serve 2 terms. So in January of 2023, they'll be able to address the nation saying, we turned the economy around, we secured the border, and we fended off the threat from communist China. As your president, I will get that job done.
Governor Christie,
Sounds like somebody just burped in the microphone.
Did you write something? Governor Christie, I believe, excuse me, Governor Christie, I
Shut the hell up.
did see you write something on the card. Who was it?
I'll certainly tell you.
Go.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I think I've been the only one on this stage who's been clear about this. I vote Donald
The
Trump off
Jonkler.
the island right now. And the reason I vote him off the island,
You're really
every person on this stage has shown the
doing some
respect
hard Survivor
for Republican
references.
voters to come here to express
That's
their
a competing-
views honestly, candidly, and directly.
That's not Fox,
and to
that's
take your
CBS.
questions
That's a
honestly.
competing
I
network.
have respect for every man and woman on this stage because they've done it.
Donald
Put your
Trump
hand down
has
for a
the
second, would you?
immunity necklace.
I still got time, dude. So
Shut up,
chill
dude.
out. Here, look.
It's
This
my
guy
turn.
has not only divided
My
our
turn.
party, he's divided families all over this country. He's divided friends all over this country. I've spoken to people, and I know everyone else has, who have sat at Thanksgiving dinner or at a birthday party and can't have a conversation anymore if they
Governor,
disagree with Donald Trump.
Governor
He needs to
and
be voted
candidates.
off the island, and he needs to be taken out of this
Can we
process.
get Vivek 15 seconds?
All right, you've got 15 seconds,
I
Vivek.
appreciate it, Steve. Look, I have a different view on this. I think Trump was an excellent president, but the America First
That
agenda
would
does
be
not
better.
belong to one man. It does not belong to Donald Trump. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you, the people of this country. And the question is, who's going to unite this country and take the America First agenda to the next level? When we rallied behind the cry to make America great again, we did not just hunger for a single man. We hungered for the unapologetic pursuit of excellence. Yes, I will respect Donald Trump and his legacy because it's the right thing to do. But we will unite this country to take the America First agenda to the next level, and that will take a different generation to do it.
That does it. I repeat, that does it.
Ooh,
For the
sorry,
second
10 o'clock.
primary debate
No,
on
we're
the
talking.
from the
Everyone shut up.
Ronald Reagan Presidential Library.
Thank you to all the candidates. We've loved having you here tonight, and we will see you out on the campaign trail.
Have a great evening. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Good night.
Buenos noches. Wow, what another banger, huh?
Hi, welcome to Hannity.
Welcome to Hannity. Jake Paul and Survivor. Like, can you everyone write on your note cards who we should vote off? What do you guys think? Like, oh, we didn't get a chance to make an alliance or anything ahead of time. You don't know how these things are run, do you? It's gonna be real embarrassing when one of these people wins a nom. Is it gonna be real embarrassing? No, it's not. We all know what it is. Survivor Bit was so unserious. Yeah, I can't, like... I thought we were gonna be like, ha ha ha, like, let's be real, guys. We're not beating Donald Trump, right? But then she's like, what? Go ahead. Write a name down. Getting their names in the mines for 28 and beyond. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's how it always goes. I'll be old news by then. Not really. Joe Biden ran in 16. And did he run in 08? I think, did Joe Biden run in 2008? I don't remember. I think he did. But IDK. Yeah, that's how it goes. Typically people run multiple times. I did not run in 16. Ran in 08, not 16. Yeah. Sorry, 20 is why it was Hillary Clinton in 16. Anyways, another banger. I love politics. We said the words Jake Paul today. Pretty lit. Liked when they did that. I only watched the last 10 minutes. Pull up the VOD. Why don't you? The goddamn Tic Tacs. Fucking goddamn it. I'm gonna watch the Japan Braden stream while I work on this video for the rest of the night. Everybody go say hello to Japan Braden. He's doing a great Pokemon's stream. Bye bye.